So good morning, everybody. We welcome you to the September 24th, 2024 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd like to ask Father Benson if he would come forward to give us an invocation.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord, God of mercy, who have given us a marvelous example of charity and a great commandment of love for one another. We lift up to you, God, all those who are in need here and throughout the world. We pray for the people in the Holy Land. We pray for people in Ukraine, for all areas of conflict throughout the world. We pray for the people here in Calvert County, especially for the poor, the needy, for those who are on the margins. We pray that you give us eyes to see the needs of those around us, and hearts filled with love and compassion for them, minds filled with wisdom and discernment to know how best to serve the common good. Send down your blessings, Lord, on these your servants, who so generously devote themselves to the task of helping others. When they are called on in times of need, may they faithfully serve you in their neighbor. We ask this in your name, Lord. To you be glory and honor and power forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So Father Benson, for those of you that don't know, comes to us from St. John Vianney Catholic Church here in Prince Frederick, and he's new to Calvert County. You've been here since July, right?
Yep, I arrived the second week of July. Before this, I was in D.C. I was very glad to get out of D.C. and be a Maryland resident again. I went to the MVA as soon as I could and changed my driver's license.
And you grew up in Montgomery County?
I grew up in
right?
Montgomery County.
Oh,
yes.
You finally got to heaven.
Finally. Montgomery County's an okay county, but it's got nothing on Calvert.
Good man, good man. You learn quick. So it's a pleasure for us to have you. We greatly appreciate it. And my wife and I attend St. John Vianney. We've been very, very happy to have you since July. So we look forward to you being here for a long time. And
Thank
you're
you so
welcome to
much.
come here any Tuesday and give us an invocation.
I appreciate it. Anytime you can do anything for me, I'll let you know.
Okay. Everybody else does. You might as well too.
Thank you all for your service.
What time does
Commissioners.
service start? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented?
I've none. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have a full house today. So I have a couple of public service announcements. First of all, we want to pass along our condolences to the family of Cal Stewart, especially his wife Cynthia, who, as most of you know, if you knew them, were inseparable. Wherever you saw Cal, you saw Cynthia. And Cal was very active in the community, and he's going to be greatly missed. Also, this is Calvert County Fair Week, so those of you understand what that means on Route 231 from Wednesday to Sunday, especially on Friday. It's going to create a few issues, but we do want you to come out and enjoy the county fair. I forget what year it is, but I remember when the fair used to be over here on the other side of Prince Frederick. Not a lot of people do, and it was pretty cool because you got out of school on Friday half a day and you walked over to the fair. They can't do that anymore, but now they get out the whole day for Friday, which we greatly appreciate. I think I saw Superintendent Townsend in the back of the room. We really appreciate scheduling that the school can schedule a day off for the kids to get to go to the county fair. So we're glad that they keep up that tradition. But we want to encourage all of you to come out to the county fair this weekend. Starts on Wednesday, ends on Sunday. Wednesday night you can get in if you bring a can of food. You can get in for that can of food or whatever food donation you'd like to bring. The last thing I have is, don't forget the elections are coming up. If you haven't registered to vote, please do. You can go to the Calvert County Board of Elections. The Calvert County Board of Elections is also looking for election judges. They struggle to find judges. They've increased the pay. I forget what it is now. It's a couple $100 a day or something to do it. But appreciate if you can help out to be a judge, and also please vote. Don't forget to vote, and you have to register before you can vote, so please do that. That concludes my public service announcements for today. First item on the agenda is Department of Planning and Zoning, Maryland Department of Transportation Consolidated Transportation Program Tour. Good morning. We have guests. Come on up.
Be here.
Sure, don't rush. You have somebody you want to bring with you, or you got this all
We've
by
got a whole
yourself?
team. I'll kick it off, and
Okay.
then they can come up and join. I think Kim will be the
Okay.
first one to join me this morning. But
Good morning.
it is so great to be here, and usually I have the pleasure of meeting with y'all down at Ocean City, but it's great to be here. I'm in your home this morning.
Yes,
so.
it is.
But for the record, Samantha Biddle, Deputy Secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation. I'm here this morning on behalf of our Secretary, Paul Wiedefeld, and we really thank you for inviting us to provide an overview of our draft 6-year Consolidated Transportation Program, more commonly known as the CTP, covering fiscal years 2025 to 2030. So I've brought several members from the MDOT team here with me this morning. From the State Highway Administration, we have District Engineer Kim Tran, who'll be coming up, who I know you're all very familiar with. From the Maryland Transportation Authority, Planning and Program Director Melissa Williams. From the MTA, Travis Johnson, who oversees our local transit support. From the Motor Vehicle Administration, Nikki Charlson, our Central Operations Deputy Administrator. And from the Maryland Aviation Administration, Regional Aviation Assistance Director Ashish Solanki. Joining me from the Secretary's office this morning is our Regional Planner, Dan Janisak, along with our Government Affairs Director, Mr. Matt Michler. So as I previously mentioned, I do really want to thank you for taking the time out of your week down in Mako to visit with us. We always enjoy those meetings. It's always great to have a really open and frank dialogue on the things that are coming up for both sides, what we're facing on the financial front, and also, to hear from you on your priorities. So at this conference, it's also, this great opportunity to understand those partnerships and how we can work on solutions to overcome some of the challenges that we're both facing. This year, we talked a little bit about the consideration of a pedestrian signal for Maryland 4 at Town Center Boulevard in Dunkirk, and also to review the 2-4 timing here in Prince Frederick. I don't know where Mark went to, but something that we tend to talk about.
He's visiting with the dog. We have a dog in the house today, and so.
It's very, very dynamic here this morning. So just as an update, we have reviewed the signal timing on 2-4, there he is, in Prince Frederick, and have made as many reasonable adjustments as we really can to ensure that it's running as efficiently as possible. So I know that Kim and her team will continue to keep an eye on that, and as there are opportunities to improve, we will certainly take advantage of those. On the Maryland 4 at Town Center Boulevard request, we're certainly looking into that one, and we'll be following up with you further. So in terms of other kind of opening remarks, I do want to keep it brief, but I want to focus really on the update of the department's finances. It's something that we knew was coming our way when we met over the summer, and it does really drive those investment levels for projects and services here in Calvert County. I'll then turn over the briefing to our representatives from our modal units and provide more detail on specific projects and services in Calvert County. And of course, we'll be all here to answer any questions that you have. So as you may recall, last year's CTP required $3.3 billion in reductions between the operating and capital budgets to meet our fiscal constraint. Thanks to the governor's one-time funding from the state's rainy day fund and the additional estimated $1.8 billion in revenues passed by the General Assembly last year, the department was able to reduce the level of reductions needed to balance the budget. That's a good thing. For example, with these funds, we were able to maintain commitments to local governments to restore highway user revenue and local operating transit grants. I know this is something very important. Turning to this year's draft CTP for fiscal years 2025 through 2030, the department continues to face significant budgetary challenges because of the state's slow economic growth, rising costs of labor and materials, and revenues coming in lower than projections. As one example, our motor fuel tax revenues, the Transportation Trust Fund's largest source, have come in lower than projected by about $350 million, while at the same time operating costs have increased by $300 million. As a result of these financial pressures, the department is making strategic investments with our limited resources to further enhance the safety of our system and maintain operations. Getting into the details of the CTP, it's balanced in totals $18.9 billion. So we're still delivering a lot of work. However, because of fiscal constraints, we had to make tough decisions and reductions to live within our means, and this resulted in a reduction of $1.3 billion compared to the last final CT that we published earlier this year. Even with these reductions, the department is committed to strategically using available resources to advance the state's priorities, and that number one priority remains to be safety. Safety of everyone using the transportation system, and including those who walk, bike, and work along our transportation network. With that, I will now turn things over to our partners at the State Highway Administration, District Engineer, Ms. Kim Tran.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Hans, Vice President Hart. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mark. So again, I'm Kimberly Tran for State Highway. I'm the District Engineer here in District 5. I do want to take a moment to just introduce our Deputy District Engineer, Karen Fiasco, and thank our district team for the work they do in trying to provide you with local service and constituent services in response. It was a pleasure for the administrator to meet with many of you at MACO last month, and we look forward to continuing conversations on how we can best support the county. At SHA, we understand the fiscal challenges Maryland is facing. However, we want to assure you of two things. First, SHA will continue to do big things, moving forward with multimodal projects focused on safety, accessibility, mobility, and equity. Second, safety will always be our highest priority. This means building and maintaining a system that supports pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and all users, including our highway workers. SHA has been proud to partner with our MDOT team on the new Complete Streets policy, and we're taking action with Complete Streets Leadership Academy projects. Another key tool in our toolbox is the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, or PSAP. SHA is underway with the first 5 PSAP locations in the state. We're hosting public workshops in this fall on those corridors. The information and experience that we gain in those areas will benefit the work that we do across the state to make our roadways safer and more accessible for everyone. When Administrator Pines came on the job last year, he asked our team to look at ways to enhance crosswalks statewide. In fiscal year 2024, we upgraded 1,009 crosswalks at 462 intersections across the state. In Calvert County, you would have seen with some of these upgrades to the crosswalks that we did in Chesapeake Beach along Maryland 261. Last year, the administrator talked about his goal to improve modernization and efficiency at SHA. Over the past year, we began refreshing our access permitting process to streamline and improve review timelines to support economic development in Maryland. This includes closely tracking permits from the traffic impact study to the plan review phase to getting out the final permit, and updating procedures and timelines that are public-facing so we can enhance transparency. SHA has improved our permit review and issuance timelines while seeing an increase in permit request submissions. We'll continue to explore ways we can work more efficiently to best support our local and developer partners. Now I'd like to highlight a few local SHA projects and thank the county for its support and partnership on these, including the new rumble strips and pavement markings that were installed at Maryland 506 at Maryland 508 so that we could make the intersection safer and more functional as we converted it to an all-way stop. In May, we hosted a public open house to show design plans for improvements at key locations along the Maryland 231 corridor. The 3 locations were at Skipjack Road, at Maryland 508, and then along the section from Toy Lane to just west of Prince Frederick Boulevard. We recognize the importance of the Maryland 231 corridor projects to the county. The draft CTP does note that these projects are subject to potential deferral pending available funds. SHA is committed to keeping you informed on the status of these projects as the process advances. We are currently finalizing the engineering design, and the right-of-way acquisition process will be underway. We will try to maximize the federal aid towards these projects to keep them moving within the 6-year CTP, but we will not know the anticipated federal non-participation on all locations until we're further into the engineering process. While we must live within the means of our budget, as I mentioned before, we are still doing big things to move forward with important projects and programs. Thanks for your time, and I'll now turn it over to Melissa Williams with the MDTA.
Thank you.
little bit of musical chairs this
That's
morning.
okay.
That's fine.
Good morning, I'm Melissa Williams. I'm the Director of Planning and Program Development with the Maryland Transportation Authority. As part of the new Nice Middleton Bridge project, this year MDTA opened a new administration building, which includes the Drive Easy Maryland Customer Service Center. Our service center is available for customers to make payments, manage accounts, sign up for Easy Pass Maryland, and replace transponders. Easy Pass customers may also download the new Drive Easy MD mobile app, which includes push notifications that provide alerts every time your transponder is read at a toll facility. Lastly, we deeply appreciate the outpouring of support in the immediate aftermath of the Key Bridge collapse. Maryland continues to work with our federal partners to secure federal funding for the new bridge. The MDTA has sufficient cash flow and capital reserves through fiscal year 2025 to support additional expenses associated with the Key Bridge rebuild. MDTA will be updating our financial forecast before the end of this year to further evaluate the impacts of the collapse of the bridge and anticipated federal funding. Thank you for your time and attention this morning, and I'd like to turn it over to Travis with MTA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Good morning, everyone. I'm Travis Johnston. I'm the local transit support director for Maryland Transit Administration. Great to be here with you this morning. A safe, reliable, and rider-focused public transit system remains key to growing and strengthening our region. It means decreased carbon emissions, a reduction in traffic congestion, and safer streets for our entire region. A robust public transit system also means economic and social mobility. In fiscal year 2024, MTA's $1.3 billion in spending had an economic impact of $2 billion for our entire state. The work that we did supported over 24,000 jobs across the state. In addition to MTA's investments, locally operated transit systems are critical partners in providing transit throughout the state. MTA has implemented a new funding allocation formula, which has made the distributions more equitable and responsive to changes in jurisdictions' investment in transit service. The new formula benefits Calvert County with an increase of nearly $200,000 in operating funds for FY25. Overall, we invest in transit in Calvert County by providing more than $1.3 million in operating and capital grants to support local transit operations. For FY25, these grants provide funding for continued preventative maintenance, your rideshare program, passenger counters, and 3 new small buses. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time this morning, and I will now turn it over to Nikki Charlson from MVA.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Nikki Charlson, Deputy Administrator of Central Operations at MVA. So customer satisfaction has always been the cornerstone of what we do at MVA, and our employees express this in their commitment by delivering premier customer service. If you've interacted with us in the last year, you've may have noticed that we've elevated our customers' experience at every interaction, whether that was done by phone, on the internet, coming to our branches. And as of August, our customer satisfaction rate was at 99.5%, so something we're very proud of. By prioritizing efficiency and accessibility in FY24, our MVA branches completed 11.5 million transactions, which was a 6.7% increase from the prior year. And despite that increased volume, we managed to keep a wait time of an average about 5 minutes. 80% of our transactions, ranging from renewing your driver's license or your vehicle registration to requesting a new license plate or a title registration, are performed online or at a self-service kiosk. We continue to encourage our customers to sign up for an MyMVA account, so this is our public service request of everybody, to take advantage of many of the transactions that you can do via that account. It's a secure way to access your driver and vehicle information, check your vehicle registration status, and apply for disability products. In our ongoing efforts to reach all members of our community, our we've worked with organizations such as the local chapter of the Lifestyles of Maryland to ensure that the unhoused population receive the critical services that they need, including issuing them ID cards. Additionally, our outreach team has participated in many health fairs and valuable outreach programs aimed at increasing awareness among local high school students about the dangers of distracted driving. Our team has also offered assistance to residents during the Calvert County Resource Fair and the National Federation of the Blind's Washington Seminar Career Fair. The MVA and our partners remain committed to developing solutions to save lives on our roadways to reach our goal of 0 fatalities, and that's the only acceptable number. Last year, there were sadly 10 Calvert County residents who lost their lives on the roads, and this year there have been 9. Earlier this month, Governor Moore announced $31,000 in highway safety grants to law enforcement agencies and organizations in Calvert County, including the Calvert Alliance Against Substance Abuse and the Calvert County Police Department. These grants will support a DUI public awareness effort with state and county law enforcement agencies, including recognizing officers that are dedicated to raising awareness about the dangers of underage drinking and impaired driving to high school students. We'd like to commend the Calvert County for implementing the Highway Safety Plan, which is a complement to the state's plan while addressing the specific needs of your community. We will continue to work with our partners at the federal, state, and local levels to develop solutions that save lives. And in closing, many of the MVA's accomplishments could not have been possible without the hard work and dedication of our MVA team. We continue to set the example and raise the benchmark on what it means to do business with a motor vehicle agency. Thank you for your time today, and I will turn it over to Ashish from Maryland Aviation Administration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to be with you again. I have the privilege of being a relay in our department, so thank you again for the opportunity. My name is Ashish Solanki. I'm the Director, Office of Regional Aviation Assistance within the Maryland Aviation Administration. Aviation, we talk about in our aviation system, we often talk about the access of the airports, how we can get to our airports across the state, our country, and of course, depending on our size of our airports, internationally. What I want to share with you today, ladies and gentlemen, is our economic impact, our value of what our airports mean to our communities. Certainly, we know about BWI Marshall. BWI has over 100,000 jobs generated, over $11 billion in economic activity. But that's not my point. You probably are already familiar with the crown jewel that is the state of Maryland. I want to talk about our 33 other public use airports, including a community service airport, St. Mary's County Regional, that also services us here in Calvert County. Across the state, we just finished an economic impact study, and we identified the airports generate $1.4 billion in economic activity. This is from Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, certainly Southern Maryland here. We also generated over 10,000 jobs for these airports. That's direct and indirect to the airport's activities. Locally, St. Mary's County Regional, that also serves here, we generated over 900 jobs and over $108 million in business revenues. Again, this is an opportunity to demonstrate what our airports, while it's not in your county, still benefits the tri-county area. The department is privileged to support our airport system. We have $3.5 million dedicated to our system. We're supporting the airports through the runways, taxiways, and airport apron improvements. At St. Mary's County, we're looking forward to finishing the runway extension that will increase access across the country and also open up opportunities where the customers want to go. Thank you for the opportunity to brief you today on aviation. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to Deputy Secretary Beidel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashish. So just in closing, I do want to take a moment to discuss another important economic engine in Maryland, the Port of Baltimore. I should have mentioned previously that you may have seen news coverage this morning that our Secretary is with the Governor and Attorney General this morning, taking an important step forward as part of the Key Bridge rebuild and having to do with both the port and the MDTA. So, sending apologies on his behalf, but really important step that they're taking this morning on the litigation front. The good news is that the port is rebounding strongly and is embarking on a master plan that will grow businesses and generate additional jobs. The number of ships and trucks coming and going from the port are just about back to normal levels. However, overall cargo volumes are still down due to the port's main channel being out of service for those 2 months. Cruising is back and ships are sailing at full capacity, which is great news. And this summer was a great step forward in the port's recovery, and we're going to finish out the year with continued progress. I do want to thank you again for the opportunity to discuss our 6-year program. It's all right.
That was his agent. He's got a big movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
And,
I
so
thought
he said,
for
look,
him.
you know, I might call. You're going to have to pick this up.
I'll just assume that that was a well-timed timer. You know I was going to wrap up just then, Commissioner.
Sorry.
No, I apologize. Took a little too long. That concludes our presentation, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
I
Well,
have one,
really
which
sorry.
is always the elephant in the room. You know you can't come here without hearing about the bridge. So, so for 10 years, you know, so if you're driving back, yeah, they did it again, asked about the bridge. I know it's not happening. We all know that. It's not in the book and all. But what I want to ask you this time is, do you guys in the state, unfortunately, you know, mental health is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. That bridge is getting a lot of attention for the wrong reason. I'm trying to be very delicate. You know.
Understood.
Do you guys ever study, is there anything that, to help deter? Because I've been asked about nets and things of that nature. Is there a part of what you do that at least looks at that? And I don't know if that bridge is on your radar. You know, unfortunately, we're in a very small area, so when it happens, we know the folks and we know the families. So if you weren't aware of it, I wanted to make you aware of it. And is there a team that maybe looks at that?
Yeah, so we did do an analysis of some different infrastructure-based solutions to try to combat the exact challenge that you're referencing. There are strategies that are used in different structures across the country, but unfortunately what has been found is that even with some of the strategies in place, individuals who are in a mental health crisis, may relocate to, another location, and, a tragedy still occurs. We did evaluate those options, and for the bridge right now, we're not moving forward with any infrastructure, based solutions there, but it is something that we're happy to continue to have a dialogue about because it is a very, sensitive topic and one that really impacts communities and families. What we are trying to do is see where we can be a partner with, those in the mental health field, through the Department of Health, and also through awareness and access to getting folks the type of resources that they may need. You may have seen over the past few years that there's now, a new emergency services number specifically for those who are facing that type of crisis, and we're making sure that all of our signage is updated to get folks to, not just to an emergency responder, but an emergency responder who is, trained in that sort of, crisis communication and management. So those 988 signs, we're making sure that are present on all of our, facilities where we are seeing patterns of these types of tragedies. And we're also looking to see where we have opportunities elsewhere within our modes to make that information more readily available. And that could be the smallest thing, from making it available perhaps at a sign that you may see at an MBA branch of, we put out all sorts of other public service information. So trying to just make it more prevalent so that people know that there is, a support system there and available for them. But trust me, I'm aware of the challenges that occur with this bridge. We see it also in, in Western Maryland as well, and in a couple of locations, as well as on, some of the other structures in Bhutan. It is a real, a real challenging situation.
As we've raised that issue before, and as you said, you've studied the issue, and unfortunately, the determination is that they just go someplace else to do what they want to do. And there is a phone there at the top of the bridge. There's some signage directing them where to call. And we talk about it in our meetings all the time. There are lots of resources there to help individuals. If you know of somebody, or if you are somebody that needs help, just call. There's help out there to help them. But unfortunate that bridge does become a topic of conversation.
Or too often.
Way too often. So, and we understand the bridge is not going to be replaced anytime soon because it's $1 billion project, and that
Just shy of $1 billion.
unfortunately it doesn't meet the safety requirements. But we've talked about it before. It was designed for several thousand cars, and there's 30,000 vehicles crossing that bridge every day. And anytime there's an incident on the bridge, and creates quite a nightmare for our commuters, who a vast majority of our southern community works on the other side of the bridge at the naval facility, and for the defense contractors, and so we hear about the bridge a lot. Fortunately, we still have the 231 bridge that's very reliable and stable.
I'll be taking it later today. But you know, I do want you to know that this is my 11th year doing CTP tours with y'all. But prior to that, I had another life as a planning consultant, and one of the first jobs I ever worked on was doing the NEPA study for the bridge. So it goes back further in my career than I plan to share with y'all today, because I am a recent college grad, that's what I like to say. But sometime maybe after Mako, I can tell you about the noise study that we did for that bridge one time, and the antics that I encountered trying to move noise meters from the Wendy's on the north side of the bridge to the Woods on the south side of the bridge in a very constrained 15-minute window. It's a good one. But I just want you to know that it certainly is a project that remains on our radar, and that we do have a scope of work identified for the earmark that is in place and the matching funds there, and that work should be kicking off later next spring.
So we just don't want to complain. We do want to thank you. Last year there were some discussions about the commuter bus services being greatly curtailed, and there were some adjustments made, and we greatly appreciate, because that service is of great benefit to our citizens who commute every day to Washington. And we're glad that did not end, and just made some refinements.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I definitely wanted to highlight the restoration of the highway user revenues in our program and the local operated transit service funding. But I think the commuter bus service itself is one that, the community of Southern Maryland definitely relies upon, and appreciate, your advocacy and, your vocal support for it. And we're very happy to be able to restore.
That's good. We've talked about 231, those 3 projects on 231, and when we met last time, and Kimberly mentioned it again this morning, we're waiting on some notification about federal funding. Is there any timeline for when that notification might come through? Because we were told at that time, just for everybody listening, that if it's federally funded, it'll get done. If not, that we'll put those projects at risk. So I was just wondering if there was any kind of a
Right. I'll allow
timeline.
Kim to come on up, but while she's coming up, I'll let you know, we are still working through that process of identifying what percentage of federal funds will be available on each specific project. The 3, we have the 3 that we're tracking. They're all 2 of them are in the same kind of pot of money, and one's in a slightly different one. The good news is that there is federal funding eligibility for each of them. It's just a matter of seeing if any of them are available at 100%. And that's something that our team is going to continue to work through, and we'll be able to provide more updates on that as it gets through the design process. Certainly one of them is a little bit ahead of the others, and I'll let Kim speak to exactly where that one sits and the work that we're looking to advance, even if we aren't able to identify full construction funding at this time.
Thanks, Samantha. Yeah, like Samantha said, that, they are eligible for federal funding. It just depends on what percentage, right? So then the remainder is the state match, and that's what we're having the challenge with in upcoming fiscal years, is the state dollars. So determining how much of a state match is going to be required will help us determine which ones can move forward and which ones need to maybe defer. What we had originally communicated with you was that the Skipjack intersection was going to be first. That's the furthest along in the design phase, and thank you again for the county's partnership earlier on in the design phase, where you funded, a big portion of the design early on. That project was scheduled to go to finish up final design later this fall. We do have funding to finish design, and we do have funding for right-of-way, so that we anticipate that the right-of-way will continue, and then as we get more information, we'll determine if we can move into the utility and construction phase. The other 2 projects originally were slated to be about a year behind Skipjack. So 508 and then the section of road, we're going to be about a year later. That's where some of the challenge becomes, is if you're trying to construct in fiscal year 27, that's when our state dollars are very tight. So that's where we're looking. Those other 2 projects, though, have a, what we call Highway Safety Improvement Plan, HSIP. They're HSIP eligible. So there's more federal funding potentially, available for them. There's still a state match required, but we're just working through what the state dollars are going to look like and which ones we can keep moving forward.
Thank you.
So, Kim, I do have one more question for you. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you all determine between slurry mix and blacktop? this past year, we blacktop Brooms Island Road, but we slurry mixed Stairs Beach Road. What's the determination between them two, and how do y'all decide that?
So the short answer is, it depends. So there is a science behind it. And we're looking at the overall longevity of the system and how many, service year life that we can get out of the pavement, out of what we call lane mile years. How many years can we have left per lane mile across the whole system? If a road was in really bad shape, then a slurry isn't going to do anything for it, right? So sometimes we slurry seal or do a microsurfacing on a roadway that maybe was in a little bit better shape. Maybe it would have needed a full-blown resurfacing about, 3 years from now, but we can get more like 5 or 7. We can get extra life out of it if we go ahead and do the microsurfacing now. So I don't know all the details. It comes out of our central office of materials technology, OMT, and the geotech folks, the pavement design folks. They're helping us determine what's the best fix for which parts of our system so that we can get the most, bang for the buck. What I can say is, like you said, 402 and also 506 was also a microsurfacing, whereas 264 was a full repaving. So just a little bit about that.
Thank you.
And just for those listening, we did complain about the quality of the work done on the 264
Yes, sir.
paving job, and they're still looking at that, I think, but I think the citizens that drive that road every day would probably rather see a microservice than the job that's done, so. Just want to make sure everybody understands.
We always
do
appreciate
complain.
the local eyes and ears.
So one of the challenges our Traffic Safety Council has had is getting current data. It's been an ongoing challenge for several years. I figured switching from the MARS form to electronic crash reporting system, it would have helped. Jessica struggles with that, and she's reached out to me a couple times about it. And I was just going to see if we could point her in the right direction to somebody that could give her that current data so we can.
Certainly, yeah. The whole point of trying to make that migration in the systems is trying to make it more accessible and readily available.
Correct.
So, not great to hear that we're having some struggles there, but can certainly point you in the right direction of the folks at the Highway Safety Office. Make sure that you've got the direct connections that are there, because I
That'll be
think
appreciated.
it's an important part of the local work that you're doing and the partnership all around. So appreciate you raising that. We'll be happy to follow up.
All right, thank you.
And we're also glad to hear that the public transit transfer station is still on track for Prince Frederick. As we informed you last summer, we've made it fare-free, and ridership is up 25 or 30% since we did that. So
It's terrific.
important that we get that hub in place, and so we're glad to see that's still on track and moving forward. We did ask, to reiterate again, we did ask for a crosswalk in Dunkirk, between Dunkirk Park and the shopping center. I can't name the roads, but we witnessed ourselves, teenagers running across the road to get to McDonald's, and would appreciate any support you could give to get a crosswalk at that intersection to provide a safety device. So.
Yeah, so our district traffic office was instrumental in reviewing that and looking to see if we can add I know that the crossings are primarily occurring on the south leg as they go from the park across to, like you said, the McDonald's, Maryland 4 at Town Center Boulevard. We are in the process of working through that process and getting approval for a crossing. It would have to have the countdown pedestrian signals and things with it. I know years ago, the county or the Rec and Parks part of the county, somebody included the sidewalk on the park side down to the intersection. And then there seems to be some connectivity on the east side as well over on Town Center. So we are working through that process, and we'll get word back to you as soon as we have potential approval and then a schedule.
Appreciate that. And
Yeah.
we've always raised the issue of timing the lights in Prince Frederick. We have 7, soon to be 8 traffic lights and a little over 1.25 miles, and it's very frustrating when you hit every one of those lights red. And so as I raise all the time, in Ocean City, you got all those lights timed, you can drive for 1.5 miles, and we can't seem to get that done here in Prince Frederick. So we would appreciate any study and work you could do to help. Because I happen to drive a tractor trailer in my line of work, and it's very frustrating when you're driving a loaded truck and you stop at every single light. And we're just in Prince Frederick. We're not in Baltimore City. Yeah. I need a button. Yeah, just give me a button. Just give me a button.
I have one more question. I know it's not a Calvert County project, however, it affects a lot of Calvert County citizens that drive up Route 4, the Suitland Parkway adjustment. Do you all have a timeline on that?
Not on me right now, but I can certainly follow up with
It's
you.
still in the works.
No, it's really helpful to know that that's something that's of interest to folks,
Oh, it is,
living here.
definitely.
And so we can work that into maybe the monthly or quarterly updates that we provide as well.
Okay.
They've done clearing, but I don't think they've done any dirt work. yet.
Right.
I guess
It's
not the
steel
last
up
time
there.
I went.
Steel's
They got
up
some
there.
steel? Yeah,
It's been a long time coming.
yeah, it has. So,
No, great flag, thank you.
All right, thank you.
but we understand your challenges. We all face the same challenges with budgets and finance and doing projects, and we, the other issue that we hear about sometimes is projects have to do traffic studies and people don't understand how a traffic study says an intersection is fine when they sit at a light for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. So if you want to talk a little bit about how those intersections are studied and how that, if you could.
Sure. So a lot of the requests that come in from the constituents and sometimes through you folks down to us, like you said, a lot of what they're concerned about is safety and/or delay. Sometimes delay leads to safety issues when they take chances, right? They get tired of waiting 3 or 4 minutes. So a lot of those studies are local at, single intersections are usually studied at our local district traffic office. They're looking at things primarily, if we haven't done a study within the last 6 months or a year, then we'll go out and update the traffic counts. They're usually looking for a typical workday, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so we can see those commuter patterns. They're looking at traffic volumes throughout the day, so usually traffic is heaviest during the morning peak and then during the evening peak. If you've got schools involved, we might be looking at the dismissal arrival times of schools, things like that. But once those traffic counts come in, that really does tell us when is the busiest time, and then that's a good time for the engineers to go out and observe. They do some observations out there. A lot of the things that the citizen may have brought up that they see or they do, we'll observe that too while we're out there. They're looking at things like sight distance and whether that meets the criteria based on the speed of traffic. Sometimes we need to go out and actually measure that speed of traffic with radar guns and find out what the prevailing speed of traffic is on a corridor. Everything down to when we install a warning sign is how far away is that warning sign from the thing we're warning them about has to do with, well, how fast is the traffic going? That tells you how much time they need to read it and react to it. So a lot of times we need to know what the speed is out there. Depending on what they're asking for, if it's already an intersection and they want us to change the phasing, we have different guidelines that tell us whether an intersection needs to have a different phase, and so there'll be different analysis that's done. If they're asking for a traffic signal at an intersection that is not already signalized, then we also have federal warrants that we go through and look at traffic volume and delay and the crash data to see whether it meets the justification for a signal. Delineation, it could be a myriad of things that they're worried about. We do, same as you, get the crash data from our central office and look at all the police reported accidents. We understand there's a lot of fender benders where people trade information and they're on their way. But if it's a injury or a vehicle had to be towed or something, then there's usually a police report that we can take a look at that crash pattern and see if there's a problem that we have some tools in the toolbox to make better. So again, there's a lot of different types of studies and things that we do. In the district traffic office, those studies do take some time to gather all that data, do some analysis. A lot of times we need approval from other offices within the agency for some different things that we want to do. So we usually wait until, if the answer is yes for some device, that we already have those approvals from those other offices before we write back to you. So I know it's frustrated sometimes when somebody has a problem that they're experiencing every day on their way to work and we tell them it's going to take 90 days to get you an answer. But there is a lot that goes into the review.
Because the biggest, at least our biggest backup occurs at Stokely Road.
Yes,
And, that's phase 5, I believe, of
phase 3.
phase 3,
Yeah.
sorry. Whatever the number is,
Yeah.
it's the last phase of improvement that would help reduce that
Right.
backup. 'Cause
And we have said in the past, right, that southbound in the evening, everyone's coming home from DC. The light at Stokely Road, it looks like it's a choke point. And it is a choke point, I would say almost on purpose. And the reason is, if we allow all that traffic to flow into downtown Prince Frederick, then the cross-street traffic and everything down within Prince Frederick, when the side streets come up further down, Fox Run and Traskers and all the way down to 231 and things, when those side streets come up, there will be no receiving area for them. So you have to have a little bit of a, close the floodgate a little bit so that the side street traffic, so that you have mobility within your town. Until, I would say, the south end, not the north end at Stokely, but until the south end is done and you can get everybody, the through traffic, through the town, then we can open the floodgates on the north end.
We time the lights.
That's interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Because that backup, it goes to Plum Point Road.
Yes,
And I understand you want to slow down traffic, but when you're sitting in that traffic at Plum Point Road, you're not worried about the side roads.
I understand.
And
Or
what
the
we've
south end
noticed,
at that point.
Or the
since
south end.
COVID, traffic patterns have changed. A lot of people are teleworking, and our lights will start backing up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. And rush hour is over a little earlier, but the rush hour has gotten stretched
Yes.
Yes,
to what it used to be. And since you installed the light at Sixes Road, 506,
But that has been better.
that was backing up
Yes.
a mile.
yeah, we did have a detection
you-
problem there, and that got
Yes, and you
rectified.
adjusted that signal, and it's a little better, but people weren't used to that. You know, all of a sudden that light popped up, and now they're getting backed up there, so that's another adjustment. So we just hear about it all the time, about there's too much growth in Calvert County and all this traffic, but just to reiterate, since the bridges in Solomon's, a lot of that traffic is flow-through. And it doesn't matter if we never build another house, traffic's gonna get worse on Route 4, just because of what's going on around us that we can't control. And so, anything we can do to help that traffic flow, I think is why we raise these issues. Because when this light goes up at Armory Square, we're gonna hear about it again. A lot of people don't know that's coming, but it's coming. And, back in the beginning of that process, we heard from State Highway, well, we might not approve that light. Well, when you upgraded that road, you built the intersection. You didn't put the light in, so you're gonna approve that light. You did approve that light. So there's another light coming, so now we're gonna have 8 traffic lights in our little mile-and-a-half section, and I'm gonna stop 8 times instead of 7. So, we hired somebody to do traffic study for us one time, and he started his presentation out, and he says, your traffic's not as bad as DC, you got no problems. You know how that went over.
We
He
asked
doesn't
him to
do-
leave.
He doesn't do studies for us anymore.
I
So,
want,
it's what we're used, I'm sorry, it's what we're used to. It's what our citizens are used to. And when they see these backups, they don't like it. They're not used to it, they don't like it. And, we understand that improvements cost money. I think that last phase, the last estimate I heard from you all was like $50 million. Based on your budget, that ain't happening no time soon. That backup's just gonna get worse at Stokely Road. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I wanted to get back to Suitland Parkway. We have a tremendous amount of our population that travels Route 4 to Suitland Parkway to the Beltway. And there's a tremendous amount of high-density housing that is being put in along that stretch. I've noticed as you enter onto Suitland Parkway, it's been cleared on the left and on the right. Are there plans to widen Suitland Parkway to accommodate all of this? Is Route 4 going to be widened? Because it really does impact a large population in this county.
I'll admit I don't have the kind of final design and lane configurations with me today. I'll see if our chief engineer is here, if she has any updates she can provide. Certainly, we can come back and make a presentation, at a commission meeting, just to provide a general update of kind of what the improvements are going to be and what the expectations can be throughout the different phases of construction. Because I know that we are now getting into, more of the active and impactful work. And so if that information is something that would be helpful, we can send it over in writing. We're also happy to come down and have a meeting discussion if there's, a body that you think would be looking to receive the updates.
That would be great for our commuters.
Sure.
Maybe we could put a press release out and let our people know how it's going to look. Because I know when I commuted, I left the county like 5 a.m. and the pickup trucks push you down Route 4. I mean, it is high volume, high speed corridor. And I'm sure some of our constituents will probably want to know what's happening adjust their times to get into work. So we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, of course, no, we're happy to. I know over the years, looking at the volumes there, the question was always, can the movements be accommodated with a triple left, or do you need the flyover? And that was kind of the back and forth dance that was done for a bit of time, and then we ran into some of those contractor issues there as well. But I think we've got the right solution in place. It's just a matter of getting through the duration of construction, but really helpful to know, that that's an update that will be beneficial to your residents, and we can follow up with that.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank
So
you.
anytime we can help you communicate, we greatly appreciate that opportunity to make sure everybody understands when and why things are happening. It's always good for our citizens.
No, I think it's a helpful reminder for us that, much like folks don't necessarily always know if something's a state road or county road, we need to be thinking about, we're here with our team from our District 5 office, but there are projects in District 3, which is where that one happens to be, that are, of interest as well. And so we'll keep those things in mind as we're doing the planning and outreach for projects as well.
Absolutely. We do thank you, appreciate you coming
Thank
down.
you.
and spending
Thank you for
time
coming
with us,
down.
and Anything you need, just let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
all.
so much.
Thank
It was
you.
good seeing you.
So the next item on the agenda is proclamations. The first proclamation today is for the International Underground Railroad, and Commissioner Hart.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Good morning, and Chris, would you like to get us started?
Yes, Commissioners, good morning. September is International Underground Railroad Month, and Maryland is the premier destination for stories of freedom and fights of freedom throughout the world. Every jurisdiction in this state has stories of fights of their fight for freedom. And here in Calvert County, approximately nearly 300 African-American men, when the call came out, volunteered to fight in the Civil War. Among those men was Joseph Wallace, who volunteered and was wounded at the Battle of Petersburg. To accept the award proclamation this morning is Joseph Wallace's great-great-granddaughter. When Mr. Wallace returned after the war, he continued his fight for freedom by establishing an African-American church and school in the Parkers Creek area. His family had been resident there for a very, very long time. Miss Wallace, his great-great-granddaughter, continues this heritage through first, she owns the Browns United Methodist Historic District, a designated Calvert County Historic District, and is developing the Multicultural Heritage Center to continue this fight for freedom within Calvert County. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Would you like to come on up, please? Please. Good morning, how are you?
And my apologies, sir. Christopher Sperling, Planning and Zoning.
Good morning. So first, I want to thank you, good morning to each of you, and thank you for all the support that you've given me over the years to repurpose Brown's Church as a multicultural heritage center. And thank you for this recognition. But most importantly, I want to thank Christopher, because without him, I wouldn't be standing here today. And thank you for thinking worthy of me enough to receive this presentation and this recognition on behalf of so many here in Calvert County, particularly my great-great-grandfather, who was a Civil War vet and a United States Colored Troop. I stand here today because of him. Had it not been for him, I wouldn't be here today. So I want to thank you with sincere appreciation and heartfelt gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Is there any folks that are with you today? Anybody with you today? Come on up, please.
Miss Joyce Freeland, who's here with me today,
Please.
and I do have my husband who's here with me.
Sure, if everybody wants to come up and kind of introduce themselves and.
Don't be shy.
Oh, Ms. Reed, you want to say who you are, please? And
Introduce yourself.
yeah,
Just introduce
we know
yourself.
you, but for everybody else, just say who you are and then come on up.
Oh, okay.
Please, thank
No
you.
problem.
I'm Joyce Freeland, and I'm here to support Browns United Methodist Church, as well as Miss Gladys Jones and the Wallace family. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Francis Jones. I'm the husband of beautiful Gladys Jones. I'm here to support her and everything that she does with Browns United Methodist Church.
Smart man.
Yes, correct.
Is there anybody else here this morning? I'm a huge history buff, but just enough to just appreciate it. I can never speak greatly about it, but I'm glad that we're talking about this. I worry in future generations when information's so fast online, you almost process it too fast. When I was a kid, and you had to read about things and to sit through and do book reports back and stuff to really, and information's just moving so fast, and it's just so I'm glad that we're talking about this, and Chris knows a million times more than I could ever dream to know about history and stuff, and I'm so thankful for you folks to come in today. It's so important. We talk all the time, seems like we have a span of about maybe 5 years. We talk about, oh, this was the greatest of all time, or that was Chris, and boy, it's so it's so important. I'm so thankful for you folks here this morning. It's very important. I want to read this for you today. It says, whereas the International Underground Railroad Month honors the heroic efforts of freedom seekers and their allies who risked their lives for liberty using the Underground Railroad as a pathway to freedom. Whereas Calvert County played a significant role in this history, serving as a vital point of refuge and resistance for African Americans in their pursuit of freedom. And whereas the Underground Railroad, though not a physical railroad, was a network of secret routes, safe houses that provided refuge and hope to freedom seekers, many of whom passed through Maryland, including Calvert County. And whereas this month serves as a reminder of the continued importance of preserving the history of the Underground Railroad, which represents the timeless fight for justice, equality, and liberty for all. And whereas Miss Gladys Jones is preserving this legacy by restoring the Browns Methodist Church Historic District to create the Brown Multicultural Heritage Center, furthering the mission of the Underground Railroad through education and empowerment. Joseph H. Wallace, Miss Jones' great-great-grandfather, exemplified the fight for freedom as a Union Army corporal and latter as a community leader who helped establish the Parkers Creek Colored School and Browns Methodist Church. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Calvert County Board of Commissioners recognizes September as International Underground Railroad Month, honoring the sacrifices and courage of freedom seekers and their allies, while also acknowledging the ongoing efforts to preserve and uplift this important history. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners expressed its gratitude to Miss Gladys Jones and other community leaders who tirelessly to preserve sites of historical significance like the Browns Multicultural Heritage Center, ensuring that the values of freedom, education, and equality are passed down to future generations. Given under our hands and sealed this 24th day of September 2024, signed by all 5 county commissioners. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You knew him, right?
So the next proclamation is for National Senior Center Month, and Commissioner Grasso.
Okay, who do we have here for National Senior Center Month?
Sorry, I gotta get my headset.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
Hi, Jennifer Moreland, Director of Community Resources. We are really grateful to have this opportunity to recognize the critical role that our senior centers play for people in our community. The new buzzword in the aging community is longevity, and it's the programs that we have at the senior centers, the fitness programs, the art classes, nutrition programs, dancing, computer classes, that not only make life fulfilling and purposeful, but add years to people's lives. So I'm going to invite Aging Commission Chair Harriet Yaffe, and we have a lot of people here for this picture. So we'll have some of our Aging Commission members, our Senior Council members, and our Aging Services Program Manager, Christy Owen, as well as some of our Senior Center staff that are going to introduce themselves after Harriet speaks. So Harriet Yaffe, our Aging Commission Chair, say a few words.
Well, I have to say that it's really a privilege to have watched Gladys receive that acknowledgement. I've known Gladys since I moved here in 1980, and just think it's wonderful. So that was a privilege, and I had no idea that that was going to happen right before I got to speak with you. Well, as Jennifer said, I'm Harriet Yaffe. I'm the chair of the Commission on Aging, and we're here to thank you very much for the proclamation and recognition of our senior centers. Unless you're a senior, I don't know how much you have to do with the senior centers. For years, I worked at the ARC of Southern Maryland and worked right across the street from Calvert Pines, and had basically a really great relationship with the county in that the county decided to start a retirement program for folks with developmental disabilities who were getting older. And a lot of those folks are still attending programs at Calvert Pines, and it's just very cool for me to go over there and see that. But it's just, generally speaking, one of the, I guess, issues as you get older is isolation. That's one of the biggest issues in terms of it being a determinant of your health and your mental health. And I think the senior centers really help to combat that. Whenever I go there, I see volunteers, I see staff, I see people eating lunches, attending classes, doing yoga, just talking to people, and people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. There's no barrier to aging if you get there. Anyway, I wanted to thank you and acknowledge that we have lots of people here who either work in the centers or are volunteers there, and of course that's work too. So I don't know exactly who's here. I know Krista's here. I know Liz is here. Yes, you all have to come up.
Yeah, say, come on up to the front. Your participants too. Come on up.
Good morning, County Commissioners. Christy Owen, Aging Service Program Manager.
Sue Toole, Senior Council Vice President, Calvert Pines.
Mike Ite, I go to the North Beach Senior Center.
Hi, my name is Norma Jean Welch, and I go to the Southern Community Center.
Hello, my name is Agnes Gross. I live in Prince Frederick, so I go to the Calvert Pines a couple of days a week. But I have a friend that I go visit and take to the North Beach Center, so I enjoyed the service of both of them.
Hello, I'm Betsy Lewis, and I'm from North Beach, the greatest center.
My name is Jim Campbell, and I go to the North Beach Senior Center. It's wonderful.
I'm Rosemary Meyer. I'm the president of Calvert Pines Senior Council. Proud to serve there.
My name is Emmy Belliotti, and I'm from North Beach Senior Center, one of the best in the North Beach.
Borough Hall, we're not the North Beach Senior Center, remember, we're the North Beach
club. I am the secretary on the North Beach Senior Council.
Be careful. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm Kathy Enfield from Calvert Pines Senior Center, and I'm also the secretary to the council.
I'm Pat Denoda, and I am the ceramics instructor for North Beach, Calvert Pines, and Southern.
Hello, I'm Melinda Gaines. I'm the program specialist at Southern Pines Senior Center.
Hi, I'm Ann Perrin-Sledge, and I'm Melinda's assistant I'm a program assistant at Southern Pines Senior Center.
I'm Liz Youngblood. I'm the office specialist at the Office on Aging.
I'm Philip Long, building and ground maintenance man, Calvert Pines.
Resident comedian.
I'm Arnett Smith. I'm a member of Calvert Pines.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today, and aren't we blessed to have 3 senior centers in Calvert County? We really are. When I was getting ready to retire 7 years ago, my doctor said, do me a favor, have a reason to get up every day. Now, not everybody's reason is to be a county commissioner. That's a little out there. But I have a reason to get up every day. And as seniors, we have hopes, we have dreams that have yet to be fulfilled. And I think one of our biggest problems, and I find this myself because I have so many friends who have left the area, friends who have passed, it's the social connections. The social connections are paramount to our health in every which way. So I thank you all for what you do. I thank you for your connection. Look out for each other. We have to. We have to make sure our friends get to doctor's appointments, get to activities. Not only, doctor's appointments become our social life. We need to put that on the back burner. That needs to go on the back burner. Our social connections need to be each other because we can't depend on our children. Our children, they've got their own thing going on. And as wonderful as they are to us, it's not fair to them to expect them to fulfill that in our lives. So thank you all for being here today. And let me get on with the proclamation. Okay, whereas September is recognized nationally as Senior Center Month, celebrating senior centers as the vital community hubs that provide access to services, resources, and activities designed to improve the quality of life for older adults. And whereas the Calvert County Senior Centers, North Beach Senior Center, Calvert Pines Senior Center, and Southern Pines Senior Center have long been cornerstones of our community, offering meaningful programs that promote health, wellness, social connection, and independence for older adults. And whereas these senior centers have positively impacted the lives of countless older adults by offering a welcoming environment where seniors can engage in educational, recreational, and social activities that foster engagement and personal growth. And whereas the older adults who contribute their time, talent, and wisdom at our senior centers enrich the lives of their peers and make valuable contributions to the fabric of our community. And whereas Calvert County recognizes the importance of honoring our older adults and the crucial role our senior centers play in their well-being, providing a supportive community where aging is celebrated with dignity, purpose, and joy. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Calvert County Board of County Commissioners that September 2024 is officially recognized as National Senior Center Month. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners expresses its deepest gratitude to the staff, volunteers, and participants of North Beach Senior Center, Calvert Pines Senior Center, and Southern Pines Senior Center for their steadfast dedication to serving our older adults, given under our hands and sealed this 24th day of September 2024, signed by all 5 county commissioners.
In the meantime, can any county employee that has a badge that's visible just kind of either tuck it in your shirt or behind your ear? Not in your shirt, but just not have it visible. Thanks. That's perfect. It actually works. It does. All right. Here's the fun part.
Get my good side now.
Put in turn rate.
All right, buddy, I remember that.
Oh, my. That was a nice button.
It was funny though.
It was on time.
Smile.
The stuff I gotta put up with.
Commissioner Ireland, can you just move a smidge to your left? Perfect. Thank you. It is all but this part of his face a little bit. Really embarrassing. All right. Here's your chance to blink, guys. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. All right, well, congratulations, everybody.
Yes, watch your step. Yep, watch your step.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming to join us today.
No presentation today.
It's all good.
Coming up to the mic.
Better, yeah. They should be
It's
fat.
gonna be a big winner, all those squirrels out
They're
there.
fattening them up.
Man,
They have a million squirrels.
Not roadkill.
A lot of roadkills. So our next proclamation is for Diaper Need Awareness Week. Commissioner Ireland got chosen.
Shelley, can you please come forward for this? She's even got a diaper shirt on. Laughs, love, and lots of diapers.
Absolutely, that's what I
Go ahead. Please tell us about the program and
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Shelley. I'm the founder of Maryland Diaper Bank. Our mission at Maryland Diaper Bank, thank you very much. Our mission at Maryland Diaper Bank is pretty simple. It's just to provide the basic diaper needs to stimulate health, growth, and good hygiene for babies in Maryland. Our overall vision is to reduce the struggle of Maryland families in providing adequate diapering essentials to their little ones. Specifically, what we do here in Calvert County is that we provide diapers and diapering essentials to families with children 5 and under. Our partners here in Calvert County are both Judy Centers, CareNet, as well as Chesapeake Cares. We have been partners with all of them since our inception in 2018 and began to bring on Calvert County families at the end of 2019. We are here today for what is Diaper Need Awareness Week. It's a time to get together, advocate for diaper need awareness, and letting everyone across the globe know about what families struggle with diaper need, what that looks like. Our latest statistics show that now 1 in 2 families suffer with diaper needs. So it's not just for those who may be struggling from paycheck to paycheck per se. It could be anyone. We get a lot of calls from families who just may be falling on hard times. Everyone has jobs, so it's not like they're just families that are utilizing government assistance. Everybody is just a couple dollars short of being able to provide what they need to provide if something happens in their homes. And a lot of times we deal with those families. So we thank you so much for allowing us to not only work with Calvert County families, but to be recognized during Diaper Need Awareness Week. I leave you all with saying that we are having our first fundraiser event ever. It'll be in Charles County at the Scary Strokes on September 26th, so this Thursday. But for those who live in Calvert County and you want to support the Diaper Bank, we are also having a 2-week diaper drive. Those diapers can be dropped off for Calvert County families at the Imaginarium Play Center. It's like a competition. It's called the Biggest Diaper Drive, and we are including the entire community to get involved. And so families who drop off items, diapers, open packages are allowed. Diapers, diaper rash cream, and wipes to the Imaginary Play Center. They'll be entered into a raffle for free playtime for their little ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward. So my previous career, we have someone else going to talk? I'm sorry, come on up.
Just for the picture, I think.
Just for the picture, all right.
Introduce yourself and then you can come on up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Belinda Easterling, and I am program manager for the Maryland Diaper Bank.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. I was just going to say, my previous career, I had the opportunity to attend several residents that had less than optimal living conditions. A lot of kids running around in diapers, and truly in that case, that kid is that victim. I always went with the premise that a happy baby was a dry baby. At least it did have something to do with the crying sometimes. But I can remember in early 2000s having 2 in diapers, and I think Walmart every week was $60 for 2 in diapers. I don't know what it is now. So, I mean, this is a very important cause, and there again, these kids in this case and these babies in this case are the actual victims. And whatever we can do to help them, we should. I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas diaper need, the lack of a sufficient supply of diapers to keep a baby clean, dry, and healthy can adversely affect the health and well-being of infants, toddlers, and their families. And whereas families in low-income households in Maryland face the financial challenge of affording diapers, which are essential for the health, growth, and hygiene of young children. And whereas since 2018, the Maryland Diaper Bank, a local organization dedicated to supporting families in need, has distributed over 1.5 million diapers, serving many families in Calvert County and across Maryland. And whereas the Maryland Diapers Bank mission is to provide basic diaper needs to stimulate growth, health, and good hygiene for babies in Maryland, thereby alleviating the burden on families and allowing them to better focus on their economic stability and well-being. And whereas raising awareness about diaper need will encourage greater community involvement and support for diaper banks and contribute to the health and well-being of families in Maryland. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners that September 23rd through 29, 2024 is recognized as Diaper Need Awareness Week in Calvert County. And all citizens are encouraged to donate generously to diaper banks, such as the Maryland Diaper Bank, to support families in need. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners expresses its gratitude to the Maryland Diaper Bank for its service and dedication to improving the lives of families in Calvert County and beyond. Given under our hands and sealed this 24th day of September, 2024, signed by all 5.
Fantastic shirt.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Commissioner Al, I think I changed. So the next item on the agenda is an award from the Employee Recognition Committee, Commissioner Hart or whoever.
Yep. You're gonna come right down.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Brooke
morning.
Barco, Aquatic Division Chief, and also the ERC Chair. So I'm here today to introduce the August Employee of the Month. The Employee of the Month acknowledges individual excellence for superior job performance and/or special individual efforts that go above and beyond the employee's normal job duties. So our August Employee of the Month is Animal Control Officer with the Department of Public Safety, Hannah Neal. If you'd like to join me at the front. So Animal Control Officer Hannah Neal is proudly recognized as the Employee of the Month for August 2024. Her dedication and contributions have significantly impacted both the team and the community. Hannah displayed remarkably quick thinking and compassion when she rescued an eagle trapped in a car grill earlier this month. The rescue highlighted her quick thinking and compassion for all animals. At the time of nomination, Hannah was also managing 3 complex cases that all resulted in search and seizure warrants, enabling the removal of animals from less than ideal situations while holding those responsible accountable. Her efforts have earned praise from various agencies she's collaborated with, reflecting her professionalism and dedicated work ethic. In addition, her enforcement actions, AC O'Neill goes above and beyond to support pet owners in need. She has personally delivered essential items to both help people and their pets, demonstrating her commitment to the well-being of our community. Her professionalism, passion, and commitment to both animals and the community make her a deserving recipient of this award. Congratulations, Hannah. We also have a few individuals that would like to say a few words today.
I found out today that I had the opportunity to speak. I did not plan anything,
okay.
but thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Hello, April Coleman, Deputy Director of Animal Services. So I just wanted to say some, hope you don't mind dogs, just to speak and say how proud I am of AC O'Neill. She deserves this recognition just from all the hard work and the year that she's been with the department. Yes, she has really gone above and beyond for all the animals and the people. I've seen where she's come to the shelter and loaded up her vehicle with donations to take back to the community in need. I've watched her educate people and do everything in her power to help them keep their pets. And not only that, she has this ability to leave no stone unturned, and essentially every case that she touches, it has turned into something amazing where it has helped the public and the animals. And we actually have Polly here, who is from one of her cases where a search warrant was obtained and 76 dogs were removed from a home on May 8th. And this is one of the dogs. So if anybody's interested, Polly is up for adoption.
There you go, Hart.
I have 3.
Hey, 4, you won't even notice.
I know. Oh, if we had a bigger place, oh mercy.
Nothing money won't fix.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Public Safety Director Dave McDowell. Hannah personifies professionalism, integrity, going the extra mile. You may recall the deceased puppies that were found in the trash can in front of the Petco in Prince Frederick. That's Hannah's case. And she took a little crumb of information and she turned it into a multi-county investigation where we found that people in other counties were receiving dogs from counties like Calvert, and they were performing illegal abortions for these dogs that were carrying puppies. They were aborting these puppies illegally. But she started with just a little bit of information like that, and she took it to the next level. And had I known Hannah in my previous career, she would probably be wearing a different uniform right now. She's that good. But anyway, we really appreciate the hard work that everybody does at Animal Services. April, you run a great team there, but you got a great team that works with you. So we really appreciate that, and we really appreciate bestowing this honor upon her today.
Dave, come on up. Come on.
Good morning. Crystal Dowd, Deputy Director for Public Safety. I often compare animal control to IT Everyone knows it's important, but nobody has any idea what they do. Hannah wears many hats. Each of our animal control officers do. They are the social worker, the victim advocate, the patrol officer, the detective, they're the EMTs. They do every single job that we have out there for people. Animal control officers wear them singularly. And Hannah exemplifies what it means to be a great ACO, so thank you, Hannah.
I want to say before we present this award, so the Animal Center is so near and dear to me. It really is. It's one of the things that, since I've been here, it's probably one of the proudest things I've ever had the privilege to be any part of. And I remember when it was getting created, Jackie Vaughn was so instrumental in getting it there. And I remember we tasked her with this and just said, hey, Jackie, make it happen. We didn't know what we were doing, what we were getting into. And one of the first people she brought in was Crystal. And I said, you know, Jackie, I trust you like nobody's business. Just, you know, talk to me about her. And Crystal has put together this team. Now Dave's been a big part of it. And you ladies here, you know how much I love animals. And when we were putting this center together, people would come to me and they say, Mike, we got, in the atrocities that people do, I can't stand it. I'm telling you, I can't stand it. It just, I don't know how you harm an animal. I can't stand it. And they would say, you know, this is being done to this animal here or there. We had no place to take them. Once we finally got the shelter, I'm like, fine, we're going to send SEAL Team 6 down there. We're going to kick down the door, drive tanks over it, but we're going to bring them to Tri-County. They didn't have the facilities, and so many animals were put down because they didn't have the facilities. We get the facility, but now we need the people to do it. The building's great, but without the folks, it just doesn't matter. And it's been this work in progress to get there. We've got the team. We've got the laws put in place, the animal control boards, all these things that go with it. You know, it's good enough, okay, you kick down the door, you get the animal back, but now you don't have teeth to go after the people that did these things. And that's what we've been doing, and I am so, so proud of you guys. I'm telling you, they don't make penalties tough enough for what people can do. I mean, how you can harm something like that, you've got no soul. I'm telling you, I can't stand it. I swear I can't. Thank you so much. And when you said 76, imagine if that was 76 people in there. It would make national news. Probably even most folks here in the county don't even know that happened. We had an incident, and stop me if I'm wrong, they had a dog fighting thing, and to how we knew about it was the lawnmowers running. Remember that? Something like somebody had called and said they constantly hear these lawnmowers running. They had turned lawnmowers on to mask the sound of these dogs being harmed. That's a special kind of evil. It really is. And so just thank you. This check and award cannot be enough. But it just humbles me that you're here. Thank you so much for everything.
I thought the dog was going to get the check.
I was trying to get taller.
Here, come right in the middle.
Oh, no, I'm just taking a picture.
That's okay. I'll get a better one up here.
No, go ahead. Sure, I got it, thank you.
Crystal and Hannah, can you turn your tags around?
So you get the dog out.
That's the most important.
Can you sit? No.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, Crystal and I are looking at a teensy bit to your left.
Now you waited.
There we go. Oh well, it's okay. Here you two, Polly.
Good morning. Now we have a Team Excellence Award on behalf of the ERC. The Team Excellence Award acknowledges employees who have excelled in a group setting and displayed cooperation and teamwork in support of a common goal or project, which has produced exemplary results. So now I would like to welcome up the Southern Pine Emergency Response Team, to include from Community Resources, Office on Aging, Melinda Gaines and Ann Sledge, as well as from the Department of Parks and Recreation, Vera Johnson and Diane Griffin. If you could join us at the front.
Hi, I'm Ann Perrin Sledge.
Melinda Gaines again.
Good morning, Vera Johnson.
Good morning, Diane Griffin.
The team at Southern Pines Senior Center exemplifies excellence in emergency response. On June 12, 2024, a fitness room participant collapsed and became unresponsive. Upon alert, the staff immediately responded. Melinda assessed the situation, found the participant not breathing, and immediately called 911 and began CPR. Ann joined in administering CPR, while Vera and Diane quickly retrieved the AED and supported the resuscitation efforts. Their swift, coordinated efforts were vital in saving the participant's life until EMS arrived. The EMS team later praised their life-saving work and highlighted their dedication and quick thinking. We are incredibly proud to recognize this team for their exemplary efforts in saving a life. Their quick thinking, seamless collaboration, and unwavering commitment under intense pressure exemplify the true spirit of teamwork and excellence. This remarkable achievement not only showcases their skills, but also their compassion and dedication to helping others in critical moments. Your life-changing accomplishment is truly magnificent. Congratulations to all of you.
Good morning again. Thank you to the ERC and the county commissioners for their support and recognition. Sorry, I'm a horrible public speaker. Recognition in awarding this Team Excellence Award. It's not every day that we face emergencies like these, but Melinda, Ann, Vera, and Diane's preparedness and care for our participants stood out and ultimately saved a man's life. I'm so proud to work alongside each of you when I'm at Southern Pines. And today, we not only thank you, but we celebrate you. Congratulations to each one of you guys on this well-deserved recognition.
Jennifer Moreland, Director of Community Resources. Well, I think our senior center staff and our Parks and Rec staff are basically heroes every day in the work that they do to bring enrichment to people's lives. But you got to be a superhero on this particular day, and you've earned your capes, so congratulations. I hope this in some way, captures the magnitude of what you did in that day. I'm glad that I've heard that he's been able to come and visit you and share his appreciation for your efforts. So you have it from all of us. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. Nate Smith, Recreation Division Chief. Whenever I heard this incident and saw the names involved, no surprise. We share the center down there with the Office on Aging staff, and we're all one team down there, so this really is no surprise to me, and I'm very proud of all of you. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention risk management and our safety training program here in Calvert County government. Danny's back here, and You know, I've gotten to know Danny very well because I think he's trained our entire staff over Parks and Recreation, including myself, in CPR and first aid. And that's a challenge if you got me in your class sometimes. But he's become a very good friend. I respect him professionally, and that whole group over there. They deserve credit for such a great training program that we have in the government. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Microphone. I'm Dan Baker, Safety Officer, Risk Management with Human Resources. I've trained over 1,200 employees over the past 7 years. We've got 98 AEDs around the county between buildings, Sheriff Department vehicles, and animal control vehicles as well. I feel like the coach who just won the Super Bowl because my trainees did an excellent job. That 4-minute window that I always preach, you all jumped in, did it, and saved the life. So thank you all very much. You did a great job.
He came in about 3 weeks ago, and he was able to witness, or not witness the birth, but he has his first grandchild, a grandson.
Oh, wow.
So he's
That's awesome.
really celebrating.
That's awesome.
And it's nice to see him working out every day. He's back here, he's clear though, he's good.
And he looks 15 years younger.
I think I should go work out.
Everybody from.
Is that good?
That's perfect. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Whoops, thank you. Thank you. Good to go. The AED talk shoes.
It's good to see that kind of thing there. Well deserved.
So the next item on the agenda is consent. We have 7 items under consent today. Item 1, Public Works, First Amendment to PCS Site Agreement 2801 Plum Point Road, Huntingtown, Maryland. Item 2, Department of Public Works, easement for 100 Skipjack Road, Prince Rupert, Maryland. Item 3, Department of Parks and Recreation, National Recreation and Parks Association Million Coaches Challenge Grant Memorandum of Understanding Extension Amendment. Item 4, Department of Parks and Recreation, United States Tennis Association Community Engagement Grant Fiscal Year 2025. Item 5, Department of Parks and Recreation Budget Amendment for the Capital Improvement Plan Project, Cove Point Park Basketball Courts. Item 6, Department of Parks and Recreation Budget Amendment for the Capital Improvement Plan Project, Battle Creek Cypress Swamp Rebuild. Item 7, Department of Public Works Waterman's Wharf Slip Agreement. Are there any objections to the items listed under consent today?
Have none.
I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
A motion and a second that we adopt and approve the consent items listed today. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is old business, Department of Finance and Budget, implementation of local preference ordinance. Director Miller.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning. Bruce Miller, for the record, Finance Director for the county. I'd like to have Kathy acknowledge the hard work that everybody has done. So,
Good morning, I'm Kathy McAdams. I'm the Business Retention Specialist for Economic Development. And I would like to thank a few members of our local preference work group. We've had several meetings, discussions, and revisions to the plan. I would like to thank them for helping us to spread the word on this opportunity, and I also look forward to working with them as we move forward with doing training. And those members are the Calvert County Minority Business Alliance, Dawn Tucker and Rosanna Voigt, Calvert County Chamber of Commerce, Kathy Maney and Bonnie Barrett, and the Southern Maryland Minority Chamber of Commerce, Etzel Brown. Thank you to all of them.
Thank you, Kathy. With that, as you know, we've had one work session in a public hearing, and this is, I believe, the third time this item has come to you for review. If you wish, I'll read the memo, or okay. So, via background, in 2018, the Calvert County Board of County Commissioners requested and was given authority to apply a reciprocal preference when awarding contracts. The reciprocal preference requires that the county give a preference to a resident bidder over a non-resident bidder that is equal to the preference given by the county or state in which the non-resident bidder has its principal office to bidders that have principal office in that county or state. The reciprocal preference is intended to help a Calvert County business that is being penalized for being a Calvert County business where the lowest bidder.
Bruce, I've just glanced through here. The presentation really talks about what's in the
Yes, sir.
memo, so you can just, I'm
Okay.
sorry, you can just skip to the
All right.
presentation.
I won't argue with you.
I'm so sorry.
So again, this is a presentation on the local business preference. Background, in 2018, the Board of County Commissioners established a reciprocal preference policy when awarding contracts for a resident bidder over a non-resident bidder that is equal to the preference given by the county or state in which the non-resident bidder has its principal office. According to the reciprocal preference historical data, non-resident businesses prevailed in the contract awards. And combining local preferences policies with reciprocal preference could help ensure local businesses have a competitive chance in the county's bidding process. The authority comes with Title 6105 of the Code of Public Local Laws of Calvert County, Maryland, which authorizes the Board of County Commissioners to enact an ordinance that establishes a local percentage preference for a certain procurement contracts. And this becomes effective October 1st, 2024. Introduction, the county staff leadership gathered community subject matter experts to help formulate the draft ordinance, including the Calvert Chamber of Commerce, the County Minority Business Alliance, and the Southern Maryland Minority Chamber of Commerce, which Kathy previously noted. Factors considered: balancing taxpayer burden with higher pricing, the economic benefit of money originating and remaining in Calvert County, and jurisdictions with reciprocal preferences policies may penalize Calvert County businesses applying for bid submission in their counties due to Calvert's local preference policy. The purpose of this ordinance is to bolster the county's economic growth and support the creation and retention of employment opportunities within the county through increased participation of local businesses in the county's purchase of goods and services. The informal solicitations. So the concept is if a resident business is involved in the bid process and their bid is not the lowest, the resident business shall be allowed a 5% local bid preference. If there is more than one resident business, the lowest resident business will be selected for the local preference. And if this bidder declines, the process will continue until the resident business list is completed. And finally, if all local businesses decline, the contract goes to local non-resident bidder. Formal solicitations for $30,000 or more. If a resident business bidder is involved in the bid process and their bid is not the lowest, the resident bidder may be allowed a 5% local bid preference not to exceed $25,000. If there is more than one resident business, the lowest resident business will be selected for the local bid preference. And if this bidder declines, the process will continue until the resident business list is completed. And finally, if all local businesses decline, the contract will go to the lowest non-resident bidder. There are exclusions. The federal or state law, grant agreements, sub-recipient agreements, or other funding mechanisms supporting the solicitation that precludes the offer of a local bid preference. When piggybacking other jurisdictions' contracts, purchases under cooperative agreements, and then procurement has exercised any discretion afforded by Title VI of the Code of Public Laws of Calvert County to waive competitive business requirements in the following situations: where it can be demonstrated that the requiring department could not have foreseen the required purchase in sufficient time for normal purchasing, emergency purchases where life is intimate, peril, and likely will be endangered, or property will be destroyed, or considerable costs will be incurred because of the events beyond the control of the department, if the procurement is not completed without delay, and finally, at the direction of the county administrator, when other overriding factors warrant an exception to this chapter. So we've gone through the process, and the next step is that we ask for the resident bidders. We will offer workshops and resources to help local businesses improve their bid process and proposals and better understand the competitive landscape, could help increase their success rates, set annual outreach goals with various training and workshop methods, should set stretch goals for resident bidders, which includes increase the number of bids received from resident bidders, encourage repeat participation from resident bidders. Historical data shows a low percentage of resident bidders that continue to participate, and aim to reduce non-resident bid amounts by 10% through local preference and reciprocal bidding opportunities. These steps will review the effectiveness, recognizing that this is our first attempt at using this new tool to put the public money to work locally. Staff should be prepared to report outcomes and experiences shared with them from the community, and take a directive to return to the Board of County Commissioners periodically for the board to determine if adjustments are necessary to attain the goals of the local preference program. And I think that's an important slide. Conclusion, fiscal impact, any higher costs should be returned in personal property, income taxes, and enhanced revenues for local businesses. Recommendation, staff requests board approval to implement the ordinance to provide a preference for local businesses and business and procurement bidding. Thank you.
So Mrs. Maney's here from the chamber. Would you like to add anything? I know you've been integral in all these discussions. No? I knew you wouldn't turn down a friend.
You never give me the chance to do that. Catherine Manning, Chamber of Commerce. No, I just want to say again how pleased we are that we've been able to get it to this point. Most importantly, as that last slide, the recommendation. To stay on top of it, now we'll have the data, so we'll be able to log it and be able to look at it, whether it's through the year or next year. So if we need to tweak it, we'll be able to do that, and we'll have what we need. So again, thank you to everybody for doing what they've done. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'd just like to say, and I think President Hance would agree, you know, this is, document's tricky, because you can what if it to death, you know, you're trying, the intent is to help local business, because we understand the value of what it brings, you know, to lose contracts, and you heard President Hance talk about the one,
Prince Road Firehouse.
yeah, and I remember the first time my experience in, Burt Baker educated me on, and I can't remember the dollar amount. It was so small, and she was the very first one that because I was like yourself, I'm like, how did we lose? How did the local person not get this? And because the the law is so unbendable, the way it was written, and with no flexibility. And, I truly believe we're rowing the right way this time. I really think we got everybody on board, and like I say, it might not be perfect, and we might have to tweak it along the way, but I think we're finally going the right way. So I'm so pleased to see it here.
And studies have shown that 80 cents out of every dollar that's spent in a local business stays in that local community. So, and we have had comments and emails come in opposing this. How can you spend more than you need to? You should never accept anything other than the lowest bidder. But, we're talking about very small amounts of money. And to see that little bit of money spent to support our local community, our local businesses, to us is well worth any pennies we invest. Mr. Miller?
And we've seen low bids come in, basically knowing they can't do the project. But they just go, hey, we're just gonna lowball. I'm not saying that that's done all the time, but to that point, when people say the lowest bid, we've seen somewhere, now all of a sudden we're fighting, and there was a very large contract that we recently, I'd say, if not to call anything out, but 4 years ago, something we were mandated by Maryland to accomplish. And the bid was so low, but you had to take it, and then we were fighting back and forth and everything else to get them to complete the job because they said, well, we didn't have the resources. But so it is so tricky.
And I would just like to add to your comments, President Hans, that not only does the money stay, but there's what's called the multiplier effect that actually multiplies in value. So by the time it goes through all the different vendors, that purchasing power, if you will, just continues to grow and grow, which a lot of times is forgotten about, but very important.
And Commissioner Hart, I always talk about it, people get tired of hearing about it, but the Prince Rotary Firehouse was an $11 million contract that the local company lost over $17,000. $17,000 on an $11 million contract. We couldn't give it to the local company.
And it wasn't like it went smooth either.
Well, that's neither here nor there, but at the end of the day, that local company, we'd have got that $17,000 back easily. So that's why we're doing this. As was mentioned by Mrs. Maney, we're just starting through this process. We can tweak it if things don't look right in a year or as the process moves forward. It's not like we're locked in. So we're just trying to benefit local businesses and our citizens who work in those businesses. So that's the goal here today. So you just need some direction?
Mr. President, I make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve and adopt the ordinance presented today to implement a preference for local business and procurement bidding effective October 1st, 2024.
I have a motion and a second that we adopt the local ordinance preference ordinance. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for your
sir.
help.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is a presentation, two presentations actually. The first one from the Department of Community Resources, 2024, One Maryland, One Book.
I think this is the one you put in for me every year, isn't
Yeah,
it?
because you read.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a little thicker this year. Maybe it's big print.
you gotta get me something that'll last me at least a day or so. I mean, I'm
I
blowing
know,
through
you
these.
Hey, Jordan, it's not a picture book either.
I mean, this is no challenge at all.
You're gonna fly through it. Good
I
morning,
mean-
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Carrie Wilson, Executive Director of Calvert Library. Thank you for letting me be here today to talk about the One Maryland, One Book. This is the 17th year that One Maryland, One Book has happened, and the 17th year book that Commissioner Hart gets to
And after
read.
17 years, I'm through my first one, so on to the next.
Every year, the Maryland Humanities convenes a group of librarians, teachers, and authors and book lovers to choose a title that'll offer a shared reading experience around a theme. And the theme this year is Restorative Futures. So the 2024 book title is What Storm, What Thunder by Miriam J.A. Chansey. The book centers around the inner lives of a group of interconnected characters affected by a 7.0 magnitude earthquake that hit the capital of Haiti, Port-au-Prince, in 2010. The publisher's words are far more elegant and concise than mine, so they describe it as brilliantly crafted, fiercely imagined, and deeply haunting. What Storm, What Thunder is a singular, stunning reckoning of the heartbreaking trauma of disaster, and at the same time, an unforgettable testimony to the tenacity of the human spirit. So through that lens of disaster and resilience, Calvert Library has and will offer a number of events that are open to the community. It's great to see Commissioner Hantz at our sold-out longest table community discussion and dinner on September 12th. October 9th at 6:30 p.m., Calvert Library Prince Frederick. Kara Buckmeister, Emergency Management Specialist with the Calvert County Department of Public Safety, is presenting Emergency Preparedness Essentials, Games and Giveaways. And that'll help community members plan and build more resilient households. Should be a fun night. Calvert Library is also holding multiple book discussions in September and October. Dates for those can be found on our website, calvertlibrary.info. And the next one is actually tomorrow evening. It's a dine-out book discussion at Heritage 485 at 6 o'clock. So invite all of you in the community to come join us in some way around this memorable book. Come to the library and check out a copy or download a free ebook or audiobook through our digital library on the Libby app. That's all I had for you this morning.
I'm surprised you're not having me there for the guest reader series. I mean, I'm just shocked.
Wait for it, Commissioner.
I mean, I'm just shocked. I mean, I figured I've been first on the list. but
Well, I
it's not
heard
too
you
late.
say-
It's
That wasn't
not
the
too
list, though,
late.
Mike.
I mean, and I don't mean one of them easy ones neither,
No,
I mean,
I heard you talk about history and how important reading was earlier.
Not all them picture ones that you put out there,
Pre-K group that comes in needs someone to read to them.
We're doing reading buddies tomorrow night too. If you want to, the teenagers usually let little kids read to them, but you could come,
I mean,
come
because
play
normally
along.
it's not fair if I start reading,
No,
like that.
you'd
It's
want
not
the
fair
little
anyone
kids
else,
to
but,
read to you, yeah.
Because they're trying to keep up. I see it, and I feel guilty about
Totally
it,
get
but,
it.
but you wouldn't think
Appreciate
that,
your support.
But it's funny, Carolyn does wear that library out
Oh, yeah,
down
I know,
Solomons.
yeah,
She does.
yeah, yeah. I hear Meg talking about I think they're working on starting a very cool book discussion too.
How many books did you read in the summer reading program?
We counted it in minutes,
Minutes?
but it
I'm
was
sorry.
like 2.7 million minutes across the community.
It's
You
good.
gotta do mine in
Yeah, it's
hours,
great.
the minutes just not.
Well, we can divide, you can do the multiplication, it's good.
just not
You're
fair.
good.
It's not fair.
You read a lot of board packets, that counts. I'll get you all to log your board packet reading next summer.
Are you still keeping track of attendance at the new library?
Yeah, we are. I haven't gotten any numbers from Melissa lately, but I just looked at the 2024 for our annual report, and Twin Beaches used to be just so far behind all the other branches, and now there's just a few thousand difference between Fairview and Southern and Twin Beaches, and that's only from the little bit of, April through June that was part of that fiscal year, so
It's definitely a destination.
it's impressive, yeah.
So I'll talk about the longest table event in my comments at the end, but you'll be happy to hear at the discussion, one of the things people talked about that had moved to this county was how great our library system is here
Yeah.
in Calvert County.
Yeah.
And the one individual hadn't even been to Twin Beaches yet, so.
No, I mean, all of our libraries are wonderful.
Yeah, so, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very
we
much.
put a plug in, you got a pub quiz coming up.
We do on
Is it sold
October
out
4th.
yet?
It's not sold out yet. You can still
Put in the
sign your
plug.
team up. So October 4th at the fairgrounds at 7 o'clock. Food trucks will be there at 5. We have a phenomenal pub quizmaster. Commissioner Hantz is our quizmaster.
I'm telling you guys, if you have useless information, I'm a beast.
Yeah.
Anything that's
Television
like,
and movies.
yes,
Get-
all day, every day.
Television and
Administrator
movies.
Willis,
Any
could you
knowledge
get
that
this
can help
taken
you
care
get
of?
a job or make any money, I got it.
You know, while I have your ears, you asked about numbers. I did a little bit, not that it's a competition in Southern Maryland, but I did a little comparison between the number of active users and circulation and door count for, not door count, circulation and users for St. Mary's, Charles, and Calvert. And percentage-wise, more of our county uses our public library than the other two counties.
It's good.
So, thank you for your support of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. So the next presentation, Department of Community Resources, presentation of ADA self-assessment and transition plans. Director Moreland, good morning. Still morning barely.
I know. I have my amazing team here with me. I'm Jennifer Moreland, Director of Community Resources, and I'm going to have my staff introduce themselves.
Kiko Nash, Special Projects Manager for the Department of Community Resources. Jacqueline Culver, Deputy Director, Community Resources. And Katie, do we have someone on team?
Yes.
We're pulling up Brian Scott with Bureau Veritas, our consultant for the ADA self-assessment and transition plan activities.
Yeah, he's up.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Brian. Would you like me to read the memo?
You know, you have a lengthy presentation.
Yep,
You
that's
can
what
just
I figured.
start there.
That
All
is
right,
why.
so we'll jump in. Again, Kiko Nash, Special Projects Manager for the Department of Community Resources. I will be presenting the ADA self-evaluation and transition presentation.
And Brian, we're looking at the slides, but if you want to jump in at any point, please do.
Okay.
All right, so the purpose of the presentation is to provide the Board of County Commissioners an opportunity for input on the drafted plan, followed by authorization for the county administrator to accept the final Americans with Disabilities Act Self-Assessment and Transition Plan. All right, so a little bit about ADA Title II. ADA Title II prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in all service programs and activities provided to the public by the state and local governments. All right, so key requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act Title II specifically focuses on equal access, where public entities must provide or must ensure that individuals with disabilities have equal access to all their services, programs, and activities. Reasonable modifications, I'm sorry. Reasonable modifications includes public entities are required to make reasonable modifications to policies, practices, and procedures to avoid discrimination. Effective communication centers around public entities and their requirements to take appropriate steps to ensure that communications with individuals with disabilities are effective as communications with others. And this includes providing auxiliary aids such as interpreters, large print materials, Braille, etc. Physical accessibility focuses on newly constructed and altered facilities, and they must be readily available and accessible and usable by individuals with disabilities. Existing facilities must be evaluated and barriers to access must be identified and removed to the extent possible. All right, so the plan itself, the objective of the plan was to ensure that all county policies, programs, services, activities, and facilities were accessible to everyone and in alignment with ADA. The scope included a thorough evaluation process on all county properties to identify potential accessibility barriers and develop a plan to address these hurdles. The methodology included developing actionable insights for barrier removal using policy reviews, site visits to all 140 county-owned facilities, public feedback through surveys, and cost estimates.
And if you want some light reading in addition to your book from Carrie, we also have some light reading of that scope of that plan, as well as it was posted online for the public to review as well.
Commissioner Hart will need something else to read tomorrow, because he's going to finish the book tonight.
There's a couple pictures, so.
But see, they tease you, they put a picture in the front, so you think you're okay, and then the next one ain't till the very end, you know? So I'm like, I got it, oh.
You can see why we're friends with the library over here.
So our plan to address phase barriers. Our phase plan is designed to work within a realistic framework, ensuring that we first address the highest priority areas where accessibility is most urgent. While the total cost estimates for addressing all barriers is significant, it is important to emphasize that this plan is designed to be implemented gradually over multiple fiscal years, as you can see. By spreading the work across 5 distinct phases, we ensure that the financial burden is manageable and aligned with available funding each year. This phased approach allows us to prioritize, again, high-impact areas first, as you'll see in phase 1, while also giving us flexibility to adjust and refine our efforts over time based on progress and budgetary considerations. All right, so fiscal impacts.
I know that we have spoken with Bruce about this number, so that he's still okay over there.
All right.
Let me check. Yeah.
So the ADA transition plan identified and prioritized barriers to accessibility at all facilities with a total estimated cost for burial removal at $18,865,856. The costs are broken down into 5 phases, with each phase addressing specific priorities, and facility usage levels were used to determine the phases for burial removal.
And I will interrupt and say that this is not accounting for stuff that was already, this is just a raw cost through the system we have with our consultant. There's
that's-
more.
It's all county facilities, so that includes everything.
Everything.
That is 144. That is not anything that's new since the assessment.
Right.
But that would be absolutely everything. If we repaired everything in that report and everything and met the criteria to need to be repaired to that extent.
Is that school systems as well?
No, the schools did their own
So that's
assessment.
another on top of that. I'd be curious to get those numbers too.
The schools, actually, I believe they also use this consultant to do their ADA self-assessment and transition plan in prior years.
Because kind of like we talked this morning, you know, and before on there, there's just so many facilities that are older, and you know, if you're in a wheelchair or disabled, you have a difficult time getting to, you know, as
Correct.
far as anything, bathrooms, fields. I mean, just some of the and not just Calvert. I mean, I go to a lot of them. It's a global problem.
Correct.
And I mean, so I'm so glad that you're bringing up, because parking, I'll give you an example. We were at a field in Charles County a couple weeks ago. Oh, man, I mean, the walk, there is no parking. I mean, sometimes you think it's just here because this is where we are, but no, this is, the walk it was behind the school where you park, and the field was way on the other side and over there, and I was telling my wife, I said, you know, if you had a difficulty walking or a wheelchair, I mean, this is not gonna be an easy
Exactly.
task, so I'm very glad you got, because you try to go to, you know, events to see children or see things, and if you're disabled or have a difficulty walking, it's a challenge.
And we did assess every single park and Parks and Rec facility, so all our fields are part of this assessment and the cost.
Are we working with the school system to address all of that as well? Because it's really, it's all, to me, it's not just, it's all of it.
Right, the school property is managed by the school themselves. So they are responsible for that, because we are responsible for Title II, which is the local government, but we are not responsible directly for the school's implementation, but we can have those conversations with them as well.
We need to make sure we're working together to, you know what I mean? It does no good to where it's, okay, it's great at Howling Point Park, say, but then, you know, there's a school that needs help.
We can ask them for a copy of their plan, since they should have or have gone through this assessment as well on their own.
And I'm sure Superintendent Townsend, he's everywhere, so.
So fiscal impacts continued. In addition to utilizing our phased approach, developing an annual formula-based funding mechanism is suggested. This would ensure consistent and predictable allocation of resources to address ADA barriers each year. It's important to note that budgetary planning will occur in several separate meetings, and also in accordance with the annual budget planning process. So we did look at cost reduction measures. Our strategy aims to create efficiencies by addressing similar accessibility barriers at once, which not only conserves financial resources, but reduces disruption to services. This approach yields economies of scale, streamlining project management while maintaining active usage of facilities. All right. So integration with ongoing projects is going to be critical. This fosters an environment of cooperation and efficiency, ensuring that accessibility is not an afterthought, but really a core consideration. And this strategic alignment not only enhances cost effectiveness, but also strengthens our interdepartmental collaboration. So in terms of historic preservation consideration, it's a critical component of our ADA plan, which involves navigating the intersection of compliance and historic preservation. Understanding how to implement necessary accessibility features without compromising a structure's historical value is fundamental, and we will take cues from successful examples such as the Drum Point Lighthouse. While it's noted in the ADA self-assessment transition plan that the lighthouse is not accessible to those with mobility issues, the museum has incorporated technology such as virtual tours, which provide access to programming. So those creative, innovative solutions will be used across the board to
And
address
they're
challenges.
low cost.
They are very low cost. And also, when it comes to the fiscal impacts, we will get credit for those creative, so it will bring the cost down for those particular burial removals as well. In terms of facility utilization and review, our focus will, okay, I'm sorry. Our focus is on active facilities that serve the public or are utilized by county officials. A detailed facilities utilization review ensures that our resources are allocated wisely to enhance accessibility where it matters most. By focusing our efforts on occupied facilities with public interactions, we achieve greater impact with our ADA plan. So, departmental review. The efficacy of the ADA plan will be reinforced through active departmental reviews and engagement. Our suggested process will involve each department nominating an ADA liaison to undertake a thorough review of their policy recommendations, facility reports, and also providing critical insights on their final action plans. The ADA team will incorporate department feedback and strengthen the alignment of the ADA plan with operational realities and practical needs. The final plan will reflect, again, the collective insights and needs of the diverse county departments, and ADA liaisons will revise policies and report on barrier removal progress to the ADA coordinator.
And we have started that process. This has been a multi-year activity that has engaged every single department. All directors have received feedback and submitted feedback for this process, and we do meet to review these things. The departments have reviewed this plan before it went to the public and had an opportunity to provide comment as well.
In terms of monitoring, so to maintain oversight and accountability for our accessibility initiatives, we'll use Asset Calc. It's an advanced software tool provided by our consultant that enables us to meticulously track our progress and provide essential reports that inform decision-making and ensure transparency throughout all stages of barrier removal. We're currently looking into extending our licensing agreement to allow for continued use. The data provided through Asset Calc is invaluable and difficult to replicate, and therefore there's a justified need to maintain access to the database beyond our contractual agreement with Bureau Veritas. So the picture that's included in this slide shows how each of the facilities, it's kind of hard to see, but are itemized by facility name, and within each of those subfolders we'll have an itemized list that includes costs for each of the locations and recommendations for removal.
And we can track the progress of each barrier removal within the system, and we can do it internally or with there's a contractor view as well, so we can give a contractor a list of everything that needs to be repaired. It's a very nice itemized system.
There's maps and pictures
Yeah,
too,
if
for
you go to the
those of
next
us
slide.
that like pictures.
You want to see the next one? Right, so here's another screenshot of Asset Calc that
See how
shows.
much easier it is to cut out all that verbiage and stuff? Doesn't the picture make it easy?
You have Jennifer to thank for this lovely picture. She was-
I did.
So as you can see, this is a GPS coordinate aerial view of the facilities, and it shows that specific location. It itemizes each of the burials identified by number at that particular facility, and also adjacent facilities as well. So this not only ensures that we're meeting the accessibility goals, but it helps to keep the project's budget on track by updating in real time as barriers are removed and logged into the system.
And Buildings and Grounds has full access to the system. They are also users in the system, and we have exported every facility's reports for them to share with those appropriate departments.
All right, so as we were going through the self-assessment process, we took a proactive approach through our department and resolved some key items. That would include the designation of an ADA coordinator. I've been voluntold, so that's me.
So
Updates to.
You're the ADA
Yes.
coordinator?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, there have been updates to the ADA webpage, which includes how to file a grievance, requesting an accommodation, and additional resources from local and state ADA resources. So contact information is included. We can be reached at ADA-coordinator@calvertcountymaryland.gov. That includes our office number and.
You can.
Yes.
She's
We
a direct
we
one.
all monitor the inbox because everyone deserves a break now and then. So we want to make sure we have continuity of services with staff coverage.
Yeah, that's why it's a neutral address.
Yes.
But we do get calls from the public, so this really is a needed role. So thank you, Kiko.
No, thank you.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this correctly, the timeline to accomplish this is from fiscal year 25 to 41. It's going to cost $18,865,856, and Kiko is the coordinator. And you'll be working with Director Miller to make sure these monies are in our budget. But there is a span in each category, so the monies won't be put up all at once. Like, if there's 1,700,000 from like 25 to 27, it'll be spread over 3 years.
Correct. This will be a
Okay.
phased approach, and Brian is on the teams. He had the worst. He tried to get here, but weather did not permit.
Okay.
But he can explain a little bit more. He is an expert in these sort of things in the implementation, timeline, and budgeting piece. Brian, do you mind elaborating a little bit more on the budget requirements and timeline?
Okay, and how often will you be reporting to the commissioners with progress and money spent? Do you have that figured into your plan?
We hope to set up, we spoke with Bruce and we hope to, we will set up budget categories to track the spending. And buildings and grounds within asset calc can track the physical, because we're more the program, we're the people. We're the
Okay.
making sure citizens have access to services, making sure there's, interpreters as needed. But if you want me to go make a physical repair, we're gonna need a lot more than, we're gonna have to pay to do it twice, right? So I'm not the person that
I
has
hear
that
ya.
expertise. So that's why we have buildings and grounds taking care of that part. We hope, my goal is to work with buildings and grounds quarterly to track, and then have at least yearly updates on this progress. We'll have to have that anyways as part of budgeting. And
Sure.
Brian, go ahead.
So you'll come to us yearly at the least and let us know what you've accomplished and what monies have been expended.
Yes, because we'll be
Okay.
updating this plan annually as well.
Great, thank you.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak. The first point I want to make out is that $18 million is dollars at today's rate. So as we drag this out over 40 to 41, that number will go up because we can't anticipate the increase in cost. But the plan in this is to effectively and efficiently remove barriers and achieve the goals as best you can on the front end. Congress did not set up a specified spending limit. The guidance that we use comes out of a Ninth Circuit lawsuit about 20 years ago, where a city was being sued because they were not spending about 25 to 30% of their budget to removing ADA barriers. And the Ninth Circuit said that was inefficient for the jurisdiction. And the Ninth Circuit set up a ruling that they felt 1% was inaccurate. So that's sort of where we targeted these numbers in this range on, is a 1% of your operating budget that is excluded from personnel and your utility operations. That's the only court ruling that has been held, and no other circuit court has made a ruling, nor has it taken up to the Supreme Court. So that's the basis for the timeline to go out based off of the $18 million cost.
And I know that will change. Certainly, we've seen in the past few years how product has risen and labor has risen as well. But you will be coming to us and saying, okay, we had anticipated 1.7 million. This is the final number that we have to complete this phase. Just so we as commissioners are kept in the loop with what we are accomplishing and what we are spending. I think that is our main objective that we would all want to know.
Definitely, and I also want to say that while we have the phase priorities, if there's something low hanging fruit in phase 5, where it's just updating a sign that cost me 20 cents to print, I'm gonna do that first.
There you go.
So there are gonna be some mix between the phases, or if all of a sudden there's a new community demand for one thing to be a more priority, we can again switch between the phases. So just so there is transparency around that as well. But we will have expenditure tracking within Workday and other systems to track our progress on not only the phases, but our overall spending on ADA compliance for the county.
Access is your goal, your first
Access.
goal.
Yes.
Okay, because I saw some of those, one of them was an uninsulated pipe or something along those lines at the Marine Museum.
Yes,
I mean, that
access,
stuff should be at the bottom of the list, but access should be, and that's the way it seems like you guys have planned this as well.
access, there's certainly program access where it's just staff changing policies. That is a really big priority because that's something we can all do, within 90 days versus needing severe capital investment. But access to public-facing, highly frequented facilities is a priority as well.
May I make a comment on that?
Of course.
The, two comments. First, the uninsulated pipe underneath, that is actually a higher priority because if you have no nerves below your waist, I have seen people slice their legs open on pipes. So that's sort of the access to gain access to the sink. So that becomes a priority for somebody that has no nerves below their waist.
I'm thinking something.
So,
Thanks for that
the second-
clarification, Brian.
second part to that is, Jacqueline has set this up right for you to do tracking of this. Tracking has become critical. Our company this year has gotten 3 notices from the Department of Justice to go back and redo transition plans because a jurisdiction did not track record of the removal of barriers. And that's something you don't want to get in, and you don't want the DOJ giving you the guidance on how you're going to do this because they will make you spend more money in a tighter timeline. So you want to make sure that you're doing this and keeping control of it. The second thing that Jacqueline alluded to was every 3 years, you should come back and look at your priorities as a county to make sure that something hasn't shifted. A new library, a senior citizen center moved in somewhere, emphasis have changed on that. So every 3 years, this list may evolve a little bit based on changes within the county. So those are 2 points there.
Right, because the CIP may evolve and change, and so you would make those adjustments in the CIP when you're doing a new construction or an update or a remodel or something.
Exactly, and those funds could be counted towards that 1%.
Right.
And again, as there's stuff in the pipeline too, as we are doing normal wear and tear replacements, we can budget that in. Normal paving, that work that we're doing, we can make sure it meets these regulations versus repaving just to repave. So this can be very planned and intentional, but we want to make sure that as we're making repairs, we're making them up to this regulation, and we are tracking them so we get credit. Because I think if you talk to any of the more building savvy folks, building code and ADA are not always aligned. So all of our properties, we could have it built to the current building code, and they would not meet ADA requirements. So that is really where we're in a conflicting regulation area that needs expertise from consultants like Brian, who live and breathe this stuff, so that we are making sure our facilities are adequate. And even Maryland code is different than federal code. So that is some of the nuances with this work.
So maybe it's a Brian question. So the federal requires ADA compliance, but it's not automatically built to construction. So what's the criteria that triggers where it is automatically built in?
So Congress intentionally in 1990 kept it out of the building code because building inspectors have the authority to make their own rules on the site. This is a civil rights law, so it's considered a civil rights action, not a building code action. Now, what has happened since then is the International Building Code, or IBC, has put this it's 90% aligned into the building code. Where we get into the discrepancy now on job sites is the building code allows a contractor to use an 8-foot level on a ramp. Where when we come out and do an ADA inspection, we have to use a 2-foot level because that's the distance between the front and rear wheel of a wheelchair. So I have actually inspected sites where I could stick a roll of quarters underneath the 8-foot ramp and the level show that it's in the correct compliance. But because you have that dip in the ramp, it's not compliant with that. So it's a matter of changing your contracts to state that they have to meet all federal and state accessibility codes, referencing the 2010 standards for accessible design. So it's just putting that extra level in there to make sure that they're taking that one step further.
And I don't believe Tom is here right now, but Tom and the procurement staff have had conversations about that to make sure that our procurement language is updated for that work. And that's also something I want to highlight because I don't want people to see the amount of changes that need to be made and think that our county staff just aren't doing their job, aren't measuring right. It's really just competing policies that they built it to building code, and we have it repaired to that code, but the ADA is just something different.
But aren't we, if we're not already including it in our building code, aren't we setting up some new construction to fail ADA, which means that a company would have to come in 2 years after they build a new structure and make adjustments? So isn't it something we should look at into our building code to make sure that it's in there? I mean,
I defer to John Norris.
Question.
I ran through 27 feet.
He loves me for this
So
stuff.
it's-
but, Mr. County Attorney?
I think it's probably a discussion to have with the code official, but not all construction has to require to
Public.
the same require,
But
right, not all.
Anything's open to the public. Like, we're building a new building, I hope that it's ADA compliant.
And staff.
So,
We just built a new library.
did.
I would hope that
So
they're all ADA compliant.
So that was part of this learning process, is we built the new library was built, and it was completed after the inspection period. So that would be a new facility along with the new county building that would be inspected with any revisions of this plan. But we did find that there were things that weren't satisfactory with the new build. And because we did have some of that updated language, Tom Jones was able to work with the construction company, go back and have that stuff repaired. And that's when we really prioritized making sure we didn't wait for the report to be done to update that contract language.
Well, I think that's a direction we should have for staff, to look into how we should amend our building code to make sure that any public open space being constructed meets ADA compliance.
That will make our job a lot easier.
Yeah, Commissioners, Mark Willis, County Administrator. One of the things that we're doing is working through Director of Public Works and Procurement, just to make sure that any contracts that we have going out in the future will have a statement in there saying for the designers to look at what is ADA code. And then we can also work with Planning and Zoning and our building folks, just to get on the same page. But we're actually talking about that because of a previous, I've already seen this presentation a couple times. So from that discussion, we're already working with staff to kind of upgrade our vision as we go forward.
Because it's not even buildings that are just open to the public, it's like our own facilities that we're building for maintenance might have to have accommodations for it. So
Right.
so we do need to have a discussion about our building code and make sure that.
Yes, sir. What I said earlier is for anything that Calvert County looks at as far as whether it's a public building that we're building at a parks, or if we're looking at, working with the public when they're building something new out there, we're trying to make them aware of this process as well.
Well, like Commissioner Hance asked, we have a new building that's going up. Is that ADA compliant? And would it behoove us, if it's not ADA compliant, to make the changes now?
Yes, ma'am. So I would say that, like was already pointed out with the library, I think we caught it too late to go back and, for us to realize that the ADA requirement is not built into the code. So when you think that you're building it correctly, but you're not. And it could be something as simple as how high a light switch is. So there's a lot that goes into ADA. Some of them are the slope that's behind me here so that a wheelchair can get up to behind the ramp. it's inefficient because the ramp actually starts behind me over here. And the access, it appears to be
Is right there.
right there. So they're the little things that we have to look at. But your point being made is that, yes, there are going to be items in the new building that need to be looked at. And we're at that point right now where we can take care of, I'm hoping, most of that.
Yeah, we should do that
So-
now rather than wait, because now, I
Right.
mean, it's a change order, which contractors love, but it'd be cheaper to do the change order now than it would be to go back and reconfigure something.
And I think it pertains more to light switches and sinks.
Oh, yeah.
The new golf course, the sinks aren't ADA compliant. So that's,
Yeah.
So, like I say, while we're in construction, even I know it's late in the game, but at least we should look at now what we can fix now instead of waiting. Because just coincidentally, Saturday is at a baseball game for my grandson, and they were rolling in this woman in a wheelchair, and they almost flipped her out of it because they had to cross a ditch to get to the ball field. So it's like Commissioner Hart said, you know, these are things that we have to look at because we'll get sued.
Well, you remember when I first started, my name was not Jacqueline Hannon or Jacqueline Culver at the time. It was Foot Leg Girl, because I had that little knee scooter that I broke
Up
my
and down
foot
this
the first 2
sidewalk.
weeks on the job. So I completely understand.
I was going to just mention, there are optional ongoing costs for ADA. So one would be contracting with a contractor like Bureau Veritas to assess ADA for new construction. You could do ongoing training for key staff that are involved, and then usage of that database. We have a contract now for 3 years, I believe.
Yes.
So beyond the 3 years, and it's very reasonably priced. But those are things that will save you and allow this process to continue in a efficient manner. We were really fortunate. For the library, we had contingency, so we were able to go back, like you said, do a change order and make those changes so that we could add those accessibility features. But,
But just for the cab, we don't want to miss this opportunity.
no, I
No.
understand.
And that's something that if we do pursue those options, they can review those site plans and re-inspect buildings. So there's a party separate from our own staff doing these. You know, like sometimes it's hard to see your own mistakes. I do it all the time. So having someone with the expertise to go in and look and tell us what's wrong, what we need to fix, and to what requirements could be beneficial. So you may hear those requests from us shortly.
Especially if we have any renovations in the CIP.
We are looking at that specifically. And Commissioners, a couple of you actually were able to speak with Director of Parks and Recs this morning, and it specifically dealt with the upcoming master plan for Howland Point Park. I asked that the director prioritize, or at least put on a document for a quick briefing, and a lot of it's ADA. So the number one item on that list was to make the paths at Howland Point Park ADA accessible for everybody. That means not just building sidewalks and pathways for all, but also lighting of those pathways and transitioning from one area to another.
And things have changed when ADA came out in the 1990s versus now. Now with technology, there's a lot more motorized wheelchairs that are bigger. So that also has changed some of the stuff that may have been compliant in the 90s. Once we start doing work on it now, there's different standards, different turn space to make these things more accessible for not only persons with disabilities, but sometimes, you know, a push button door is easier for people with their hands full. So there's many applications for this.
I mean, I think we understand the requirements may change, but at least you have something there as opposed to nothing. So I think that's the baseline, is trying to get something in place.
May I comment additionally on that is that the standards allow for a safe harbor so that anything that was built under a standard that was compliant, so if it was built under the 1991 standard, it was compliant, unless you do significant renovation, it's safe harbor, so you don't have to come up to the 2010 standards.
That's good.
But we can't use that as an excuse not to touch it.
Right. The second part and the forewarning of this is that as soon as Maryland adopts 2009 ANSI 117.1, the turning radius for wheelchairs goes from 60 inches to 67 inches. So everything's going to get much bigger in your plan. So that's a key point when you're doing plan reviews, is to make sure that you are catching these little nuances.
That's the beauty of having a consultant, because they're equipped to do that.
A good consultant.
A good consultant, yep.
And we've been very,
Yep. Yeah.
we've been very pleased with our relationship.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Brian's been a huge asset, and he has more knowledge than I could ever dream or have a nightmare to have about ADA and compliance. So we appreciate their willingness to be responsive and work with us. And they created this whole plan, so that was on their staff.
Well, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna challenge us.
And sometimes that does happen as part of bringing this to public's attention. But what we can do is we have a plan in place. We're going to,
And as long as you show that you're implementing the plan.
yes. So
Correct.
Making,
Correct.
we can't just adopt this and then
Right.
say, put it on the
We're
shelf.
done. Yeah.
So this will
Yeah.
be an ongoing thing, as Commissioner Grasso said, we will be back in front of you.
Because it'll be
definitely.
part of the budget process every year moving
Yes.
forward. So you'll get your updates then.
CIP, I
What we spend.
And if you need them more regularly, we're happy to do so. So that's not an objection. I don't want to exhaust you with ADA, but if people are interested in what I'm doing, I'm happy to talk. You know me. So.
Really? You're so quiet.
I know. My husband says that all the time, right?
All right, so in conclusion, our commitment to ADA compliance is unwavering, focusing on strategic and phased removal of accessibility barriers. So next steps involve seeking approval of the presented plan and initiating the commencement of phase 1 implementation with regular progress updates to departments in the BOCC. So, questions, comments,
Any final?
final thoughts? While we have-
Just thank you
think
for
we
well
did
done
that.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump right into it.
I want to acknowledge them.
Yes.
Because this was a huge lift. So Jacqueline, our deputy director, corralled all the departments to participate actively in this transition plan process. And there's so many details involved, so that was really critical. He's not here right now, but Deputy Director of General Services, Tom Jones, played a really important part in getting in front of this plan by already addressing some of the low-hanging fruit and coordinating with Bureau Veritas and their team on site visits and tracking. And then our special projects manager, Kiko Nash, and ADA coordinator.
You mean your volunteer?
You're voluntold.
Yeah.
Yeah. She took the lead from Jackie this past year as she joined our team and has done a phenomenal job.
And we joke about volunteering, but she didn't have to be told. She did
So I did
volunteer.
have one
Yeah,
other
you said
question.
that.
You said you included properties we own. How about what we lease?
We did include all those. That was a big
Okay.
discussion between the departments and Mr. Norris. And we did do any staff or public occupied facilities. So again, that could be how this list changes as well. With the leased facilities, that those costs could fall on us, they could not fall on us. We could move out of those facilities, so that could
So
be.
we're gonna move out a couple of them, I hope, pretty soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that as we update, we can cross those off the list and then adjust the budget amounts accordingly. But if we move into new lease-based, then we'd have to add those facilities in, the new facilities.
So how does that work with, who's responsible, the landlord or the leasee when you have ADA compliance issues?
I mean, generally depends, John Norris, County Attorney, generally depends on the lease and whether or not the issue is in a common area or if it's in a exclusive area, so it's really fact dependent.
Because some of the, accessibility things could be if there's no second floor access, it's accessible for a citizen to meet with a case manager. If there is a first floor room that could be used, that could be the accommodation versus putting in an elevator, right? So there are options, and that is something that we could have a consultant work with us on too, of pricing out different options. Because right now the prices of fixing everything 100%, which ultimately our goal is to have 100% access. But what are our different options for access, and how do we budget for that, and what is the ongoing cost of that access, so that we can prioritize, but also effectively use, the funds of the county and our citizens.
Yeah, because I didn't know you could provide a visual option in
Yeah.
lieu of an elevator to reach a.
That was actually, Brian had a case like that down in the Carolinas, so he is very savvy, so that is stuff that we can do. And again, it depends too on complaints, like what could work in one instance, could be tried and come out differently in another. But it all is about reasonable accommodations and working with the public to determine the best solutions for our citizens.
Brian, sounds like we're going to keep you as a consultant as opposed to that one traffic consultant we used.
So, and we're, based on earlier conversation, we're based out of the Baltimore area, so we're similar.
We won't hold it against you.
This is a big project. How long have y'all been working on this?
So I started with the county in 2019, and this was when I was still on my knee scooter. I was
Wow.
given this project. It was really brought forward by our department, but also Parks and Rec, because it's part of their CAPRA certification, so as they were pushing through that process. My predecessor had been working on it, and we actually found a plan from the 90s originally where Miss Charlotte DeStefano with procurement went out and measured everything herself with some of the other staff. So it was really interesting seeing that legacy. So the county as a whole has been working on it since the 90s. I've been working on it since I started with the county. And during COVID, we were able to receive funding from the commissioners. We were receiving $50,000 a year, and we were able to put some of that money aside to get a consultant because I realized this is a lot for us to do, and we needed experts who know exactly how to measure everything. So with Public Works Deputy Director Tom Jones and I, we went through that process, and Kiko has been working on this since she started. So this has been a very long, multi-year process, so we're very, very happy to get to this phase.
In 2 months, they've analyzed every single finding and sent it off to the departments and their staff.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Good.
So,
Good
but
job.
they have an eye for detail. We're grants people, and so they.
We're good with the data part. Give us that. Don't give us a ruler, but give us the.
Well, she said tracking's gonna be important.
It is.
Yes, and that's where we want to have centralized tracking between us and Public Works, so that each department, they can report to us what has been repaired, and we can go through that and mark it. But I want to make sure it's consistent in how it's tracked and updated, so that things aren't inadvertently checked out. Like, we can verify that the work is being completed to our satisfaction.
Very good.
Thank
Well,
you.
I hope you guys get to see it go to fruition. Really do.
Good job.
Thank you.
Ready for it?
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's retention.
If you like me, I don't know.
I won't be here.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Motion,
Oh, we
Mr.
need a
President.
motion.
Oh, yes.
I do need a motion. Sorry.
Mr. President, I move that we authorize the county administrator to accept the final ADA self-assessment and transition plan once modified.
Second?
A motion and a second that we authorize the county administrator to accept the final ADA self-assessment transition plan once modified. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much,
Great job.
commissioners.
I think I'm voluntold.
Yeah. See, this is how we get you in.
Good job.
Mr. County Attorney, I believe that oh, yes, Superintendent Townsell, you've been waiting patiently all day.
No problem, no problem.
Please.
Good afternoon, Dr. Andre Townsend, Superintendent of Calvert County Public Schools. Just briefly want to say thank you so much for signing the new payment in lieu of taxes. We truly appreciate that. Additionally, Calvert County Public Schools, we wrote a letter, also a companion letter, to send to all state and federal officials and decision makers. As a matter of fact, today we sent out about 20 individual letters all across the state and across our government. And at the federal level to advocate for that $22.5 million. Thank you for advocating with us and for us, and we want to fight that all the way to the end. And whatever you need from us, please, please do not hesitate. We're shoulder to shoulder on this. Secondly, I want to thank Calvert County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Ricky Cox, for supporting us with some safety walks. Randomly, he and I show up to a high school, starting with high schools, and just pop in, walk through, walk the bathrooms, just being proactive. As you know, we do canine searches. I asked our team to kind of double that up this year at all of our high schools, specifically going into each locker. Just very thankful for that partnership and understanding that we want to keep safety first. I am leaning into the advisory committee that you guys put together for student safety. I'm very excited about the recommendations that potentially come from there. I am an ex officio member of that group. So I'm leaning into that. And I also want to share, if you see something, say something in the community. Safety is our #1 priority. I just want to make sure I hit that on top of its head. Additionally, we put some new policies in place, and it's going very well. We had a Board of Education meeting last week, specifically cell phones. Cell phones are a no-go in our school. While they're here, we're learning. And I had the opportunity to go to every high school, speak to every grade level on a code of conduct tour and expressing what our code of conduct policy is. And I had the opportunity to do it at a number of our middle schools. So we're asking our parents to help us by reinforcing our policies when our young people get home. With that, school, we're in our 5th week of school. It's going well. Things always happen in school, so don't get caught off guard with that. But it's going well. I do anticipate a phenomenal academic year. And just so you know, we do have ongoing meetings every 4th Friday with budget and finance, you guys' team. So we're leaning into that. We do expect to continue to work closely together, especially as we go through FY26 budget season. And we want to ensure that it's as smooth as possible, all the information out, and that we continue to do great work for the community and the students. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll park on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just wanted to reiterate, we had a little conversation last week about the teachers app for reporting
Yes.
incidents at school. I spoke with the assistant sheriff this morning. He said they're working on that.
Cool.
So we can get that implemented for our teachers.
Okay, I need to learn more about that as well, and I share with our Board of Education. If it makes sense, well, I'm happy to do it.
Absolutely. They said they're working on that.
Okay.
And the letter, you know, we signed our, excuse me, we did get our pilot signed. They're all retroactive.
Good.
So we wrote the letter. We would encourage any organization out there, anybody who wants to write a letter, because the governor announced last week that they found $450 million in new money. So we just sent a letter and said, we have a place that you could put some of that $450 million. So any group out there wants to write a letter to the governor supporting our request to get that $22 million reinstated, we would greatly support. So
Yes, sir.
appreciate all the effort working together on all those different fronts. You know, it's a team effort, and we're all
Yes, it
just trying
is.
to achieve the same goal. So we
we
appreciate
will.
your efforts.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe now that brings us to public comment.
Thank you, sir. The board adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. A copy is found here to my right. Persons are welcome to address the Board of County Commissioners on any matter germane to the business of county government. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. All speakers must identify themselves, and whether speaking as an individual, will be allocated 2 minutes, or as the appointed spokesperson of a group, where you'll be allocated 5. For those attending virtually, if you wish to speak, please press star 9 or use the raise your hand function. The Ethics Commission has asked that we remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy, and lobbyists must register in advance. Is there anyone here who wishes to provide public comment?
Good morning. I'm Kristen Bailey Doty, and I represent the contractor that you guys referenced earlier, Scheibel Construction. Thank you for passing the local preference. It's great, but I did have comments prior. I was told I could not speak when you're getting ready to vote, but I could speak now. So I'm asking you to reconsider the $25,000 cap. You're the only jurisdiction with a cap. Most jurisdictions with a local preference, it's a percentage with a not to exceed of a percent. You know, there's also language that you can put in whatever the best interest is of the county, and you know, it's not pending. It's just $25,000 over a $30,000 contract. It's a very big range. So one of the suggestions was to break it down into different categories, or just, I understand this is not signed, sealed, delivered, but it's just wanted to give another perspective from a local company that's been in business since 1946 and moved from Prince George's County to Calvert County over 20 years ago. And so it's just something to think about. Local companies obviously have way more skin in the game. We live here, we employ here, it's our reputation. So it's just something to think about. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? And the one caller has not raised their hand, so that seems to be all.
That brings us to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hart.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. So, you know, it feels like it's always political season for some reason, you know. And people say it's every 4 years, but boy, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like it's always political season.
Every day.
Yeah, it seems like every day. And, you know, for some reason in society now, we have to join teams. You know, if you're for this point, well, you're on that team, and if you're for that, But you know, when I was raised here, we were just Calvert Countyans, and we just talked. And there wasn't any teams, you know. Now, sometimes, you know, it might be measured of what part of the county you lived in. I mean, now we had some teams like that sometimes, like when I went to Calvert, there was Northern and vice versa. But I think, you know, if you asked me today and said, you know, tell me about your job, I think if you watched today's meeting, today was a great snapshot. There was everything today from historic views to folks here that saved a life, to folks here that protected animals who can't protect themselves. And if you watched the people talking, you seen how much personally they care. And maybe you see that all over the place. I don't know. I only see here. But I was really proud of today, of how, you know, the different folks that come in, and I think the common theme you saw was how much they love and care about their home. I think when you saw the presentation from the state, you saw a very clear message. They have no money, but we still continue to ask because that is our job. And a lot of times, you'll perceive us here of, we don't always vote the same. You don't want us to always vote the same. We should have different opinions and different views, and that makes the strength of a board. And it's been a tough couple years. I mean, you heard just some of the things with the contract signed, and you know, you see us talking with the superintendent. We have a great relationship. Just because you don't agree all the time doesn't mean you don't have a good relationship. But you've seen the interaction superintendent sat here and waited. That's a very busy person. And to take the time to do that, our sheriff's office, our public safety folks. So, you know, a lot of times it's easy to say, hey, it's better somewhere else. You know, I invite you to go there and spend some time for a while. When you come back, see what you think. You know, there's that old expression, the grass is always greener. You know, I used to work with a guy who say, but sometimes when you get there, they don't give you a lawnmower. So, I just think that, you know, as much as sometimes we think the world is falling, go to the county fair this weekend and you're going to really see some really good Calvert folks that take a lot of their time and a lot of representation of what makes this county really great. So, I know it sounds goofy, how I'm saying it, but I still don't think I don't know a better place that you could live at than here, and we're not perfect. But I think, like I say, if you watch this meeting today, you saw a really good representation of what's really good in this county, that we care that folks with disabilities can get to everything, you know, that we care. And even and you hear us say, it was honest today, hey, we're doing projects, hey, are we doing it right? You know, so it's not a level of arrogance that we know we don't. That's why we appreciate public input, we appreciate our staff and everything, because we just want to get it right at the end of the day. And I hope everybody goes to the fair, has a great time. And Calvert football is rocking this year so far, guys. We're on a roll. We're doing good across the board. So I'm hoping we bring one of them banners back to the county again this year. So thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fair week. It's going to be raining most of the week, as usual, but the sun's going to come out. Go learn some history about Calvert County, and see you at the fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ireland.
Now he's got me concerned. I gotta look at this weather. No, Thursday's good. Friday has potential to be good, and Saturday and Sunday are right.
That's what I said. It's
you gotta think positive.
it's fair week, but it's
Fair week.
Right. The 15th was the boat docking at the Waterman's Wharf. The Calvert County Waterman's Association did a phenomenal job putting that together. The MC was our own Danny Baker, and he entertained the crowd by telling the stories. He even sang a song or two.
What?
There you go, yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, it
We
was,
need to get that up here, an encore presentation potentially.
Well, next time he's at the mic, maybe I can get him to do it. But no, it was very, very well attended. I've probably been to just about every single one of them, and I think there was more people at this one, and I think we've outgrown the space. So I don't know what we're going to do. Kind of limited to that, but there was people actually sitting on the rocks in front of the bleachers. They had nowhere to sit. So very well attended. The 16th, they did a ribbon cutting for the new mural that's at the fairgrounds. If you go to the fair, take the time to check that out. Local artist Heather Holston was chosen by the Arts Council to be able to do that mural. It's one of those small block buildings that's been there forever, but that mural really brings that building to life, and it reflects the fair throughout the years. It has an agricultural section, the carnival section, and just everything from the fair was incorporated into that. She put a lot of thought into it, obviously. On the 22nd, had the Miss Tranquility and Lord Calvert contest at the fairgrounds. It was there were a lot of applicants, a lot of entrants this year or for that contest. And, you know, they put themselves through a lot. I mean, you know, they should be proud of themselves, even though they didn't get selected to be Miss Tranquility or Lord Calvert. However, congratulations to Henry Hank Valentin. He was named Lord Calvert. His sponsor was Patuxent Farms, which is a local farm here in the county. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's the Bradley Farm down off of Buena Vista and Barstow Road. And Miss Tranquility was Ava Wilson, and her sponsor was Chrysalyn LeClaire. Both of them, I was able to watch their speeches and then their questions that they had to answer before the final decision was made. But it was a nice ceremony, and congratulations to them both. And if you come to the fair, I'm sure you'll see them walking around the fairgrounds.
Thank you. Commissioner Rasso.
On the 14th of September, I attended the Jewel of the Bay in North Beach. Great vendors. It wasn't as heavily as attended as you might expect, but it was a good event. Look for it next year. I also attended the boat docking, and I've only gone the past 4 years, and it's a lot of fun. It gets better every year. I was able to be in one of the boats for a dry run, not the competition, and that was fun. And on the 19th of September, I attended Surviving Route 4 at Calvert County Library in Prince Frederick. It's going to be done in 3 parts, September, October, and November, and it was very well attended, really a good course. I took Gabriel with me, our 3rd grandson, and he enjoyed it. And he drove me home that night, and it was pretty good. He told me I wasn't as bad as his dad in the car. Took a turn a little too wide. I almost lost it, but I stayed calm. Didn't think I'd be going through this again after 3 children, but this is my 3rd grandchild I'm in a car with. And stopped by the BOE Forum, and it was pretty well attended. I was really glad that we taped it because I think it's gonna reach so many more people, and our group really does a great job with that. Attended Taste of the Beaches at, I know I'm gonna say it wrong, at Bahia. Oh, that was really a lot of fun, and they did a great job, and I really liked that it was there. It made it much more intimate, very well attended. I'd like to congratulate Kat Poff from TS. She was a finalist in the Cybersecurity Warrior Woman of the Year, and she placed in the top 3, so congratulations to Kat. And I'd like to extend my condolences to the Stewart family, to Cynthia and her children and grandchildren. Cal was my vice chair when I was chair of the Republican Central Committee. Not only politically, but in this community, they really have been very, very active and a very, very big presence and force. They have so much skin in the game for this community. They open their home. They give of their time and money. It's a tremendous loss to the county, but especially to Cynthia. You saw Cal and you saw Cynthia. They were attached at the hip, so our prayers go out to them. And go to the county fair. Don't let the rain stop you. It never has, because we get it every year. Thank you all.
Thank you. I have a list of plugs. So, I attended, 2 weeks ago at our meeting, we attended the CalVex drill. Most of you don't even know what that means, but because we have a nuclear power plant, every couple of years we have to have a drill to make sure we're prepared if there's an event. Thank God there's never been an event. They're a very safe operating facility. But I want to congratulate staff and thank staff and all the volunteers that worked out that day. The drill went very well. I can assure you, if something does happen, we're probably going to be like Chicken Little, but we do drill and practice, and the drill went very well. We are prepared in the event that something does happen. As I tell my wife, don't try to get in a car and drive out of this county. If there's an event, get in a boat.
I say that too. I tell that all the time. I kid you not. I'm like, they're gonna be sitting on Route 4
At
today.
the drill, they said that's not going to do any good because the Coast Guard is not going to let you leave by boat. But as we said, there's going to be more boats and there's going to be Coast
Yes, there
Guard.
is.
We're going to have them outnumbered. The bridge is going to be a mess. So we
swear
joke
we
only
say
because
that
it's
same
not going to
thing.
happen.
Keep
Cross
a
our
full
fingers.
tank all the time.
Yeah, make sure your boat's ready to go. And I just want to thank staff. As I said, they did a great job, and the drill went very well. I attended the longest table event that the library hosted right out here between the buildings in front of the state office building. It was a beautiful evening. You couldn't ask for better weather. It was a beautiful venue. They had tables, and if you've been there, it's a tree-lined brick pathway. It was wonderful. It was a community discussion event. They had 10 or 12 tables set up. They made you mix and mingle. You couldn't go pick and sit where you wanted. And it was interesting. At the end of the night, every table reported what they talked about. And they gave you prompt questions to get the discussion going. It was interesting to see the topics that they discussed and then look at the makeup of the table. Because my table, there were 2 county natives there, and there were 4 other people that had all moved to Calvert County. 2 of those people were like my age, old, and the other couple had a 16-year-old that was at another table. And I didn't generate the discussion, but the topic revolved around how wonderful of a place Calvert County is because of where they had moved from. And they talked about how great the library system is, how great our park system is, which I really appreciated based on all the negative comments we hear about our parks. But they talked about how great our park system was, a theater that they could get to close by, healthcare system, and how we talk to each other, and how the communities that they moved from, nobody ever waved at anybody. And when they moved here, you drive down the road, people just wave at you. I do it as I pass, I wave.
Lex says to me, she goes, "Damn, we're on vacation, you gotta wave to anybody." I'm like, "It's on autopilot. I don't know how to turn it off." You know?
The one couple said they were kind of freaked out about it when they first moved here because all these strangers are waving at them. But I think it comes from, at least from my perspective, we knew everybody when we grew up. So you automatically waved because you didn't know vehicles, but you knew everybody, and you just waved. And now these people have moved here, and they're all waving. The couple with the 16-year-olds, they're teaching their son to drive, and he's waving at everybody. They're, "Keep your hands on the wheel." But it's ingrained in us to wave, and it gets passed on. And they talked about what a wonderful community this was, and how we all pull together and help each other when there are problems. And I thought that was so wonderful to hear that I did not prompt. And so it was a great event. I assume next year it'll be even bigger and better, but it was wonderful. About 65 people there, and it was a good event and great weather. So I did attend that. I want to do on a public, I can't make the State of the County event this coming Thursday because I have a Tri-County Council meeting, so anybody that's going there, that's why I'm not there. We had a commenter early, talked about the $25,000 limit, even on contracts over $30,000. You know, we're in our infancy here in this process. We're trying to figure that out. $30,000 would have helped with the Prince Rey Firehouse, so it is, $25,000 is significant, but you're right. On a $40 or $50 million contract, not that we have many of them, $25,000 ain't much. So, but we're gonna grow into this and figure it out. We do have a physical responsibility to the citizens of this county to make sure we spend their money. But we'll figure it out. We'll get through this and make sure we do the best. I'm gonna put a plug in. This Saturday night, the 4-H livestock auction is at the fair. Please come, support the kids. It's a great activity. You don't have to take the animal home. You don't have to eat the animal. You can donate it back. But, you know, these kids, as I always talk about, there are so many distractions today for our children. Devices that they keep their face buried in. And to see these young kids take the time to grow an animal, take care of that animal, it teaches them so many life skills. You know, the reward is at the end when you sell the animal. So
Well, yes and no.
Well,
I've been through it both ways.
there's a lot of crying goes on sometimes at the auctions because the kids get really attached to those animals.
Absolutely.
And they will cry their, usually after the third year, they outgrow that and
Yeah,
all they think about is
yeah.
the check.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, it teaches them so many life skills, and that's the reward is at the end to sell that animal. And I was in the doctor's office the other day, and somebody went to the St. Mary's County Fair, and they said, the grand champion steer brought $10 a pound. It weighs 1,600 pounds. $16,000 somebody paid for that steer. They said, you can go to the grocery store and buy a whole lot of meat for that. That's not the point here, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to the auction, it's to help the kids, you know, so it's not about getting a good deal. Because I've heard people go to the auction and they're all calculating here, is this a good deal or
Right.
not? It's not about a good deal, ladies and gentlemen. It's about helping those kids write a check.
And where did that money go at the grocery store?
It went to Giant, headquartered in
That's right.
Europe
And
somewhere.
folks forget about that all the time. Wherever that main office is, that's where that money goes. And I haven't seen too many corporate offices in Maryland, you know, around the rest of this country. So that is a big, big thing.
And Commissioner Ireland's son started the hospice pig, which they sell, and last year, good God, it was
$26,000.
$26,000
Raised
that
for
pig,
hospice.
one pig generated for hospice. Because people buy it and donate it back and they resell it. So, it's a great thing to watch even if you don't participate. It gives you some hope for the human spirit.
It might have been more than that. I think.
I don't know.
But it was a lot of money. Let's just say that.
They sell that thing over and over and over again. So it's a great activity if you're at the fair on Saturday night, or if you come to the fair, bring your checkbook. The other thing I'll plug, since I am the quiz master, is on October the 4th, Friday at the fairgrounds, they're having a pub quiz. If you're into trivia, you have friends that are into trivia, you put a team together, you win $200 or $300 if you're in first place. But it's a good event. It supports the local library, and I just put a plug in for them. I'm all plugged out.
Ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. I move that we recess to closed session pursuant to Section 3-305B 1I to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom the board has jurisdiction. 3, to discuss the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and related matters. 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we move into exec session. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone
Thank
have
you.
a great day.
Thank you.